Game recap. Who wants to do it?
I'm willing to do it, but I have 3 bullets. Does anyone need bullets?
I have 3 bullets as well.
Well, you have a lot to get off your chest, though.
Not anymore.
I was going to say, I did that at the end of the last game.
Yep. I can give this a shot.
Care to give it 2?
Why don't you just
Real close.
Why don't you just unload here?
Right on target.
Yep.
All right, so I was trying to remember where we actually started last time, and I think we started in Ma Carver's camp.
Yes.
Like we woke up, we had breakfast with Ma Carver.
Yes.
There was
It's like breakfast with Santa.
Yeah.
Their scouts found a party off to the east, and they were going to go deal with the party and drag us along. And at that point, Modamar says, I want to be baptized. So instead of going out there, we were saved from going and being a part of that by going west instead to the holy magic water fountain for baptizing. On the way there, one of the Ists, Yak, explained that they aren't all on the same page, and when it's time for Modamar to make his move and take over, they back him, and they are not into Koresh. So we finally get to the magic water. Modamar gets baptized, and
the guy does it wrong.
the water basically numbs him, so he can't feel anything. And then the doctor operates, pulls out bone chips, and his bones have completely healed. And she sews him back up, and he seems to be, like, he's still recovering, not 100%, but that may just be because he's numb.
Right.
Because he seems fully healed. And Philip touched the water, tasted it a little bit, and his hands and his tongue went numb. So the water does some sort of numbing thing. Then, talking to the Ists, while we waited for, basically we're waiting overnight, they were ready to make their move. Philip comes back in, has a conversation with Joe. Lee at that point is convinced the shooting is about to start. Philip isn't ready for this to start yet, planning for like a later in the night sneak attack and actually wanting to do some sort of strategy. They get in a conversation with Joe, going back and forth, and Philip pushes Joe's button to the point that he turns around, pulls out his cutlass, and goes after Koresh. All hell breaks loose, and he takes two barrels right to the chest, blows his chest out. Joe is dead. The whole conflict ends with Koresh and his people wiped out. With the Modamar Ist loyalists are there. We just left the cave, and we started
Philip
riding
is
back.
Injured now, right?
Yes, he got hit in the arm with a level 9 effed up arm wound.
Yeah.
Basically, his left arm is level 9 is pretty much unusable.
Yes, your level 10 would actually be the destruction of the
Right.
lamb.
So no more stranger.
Well, no, this would be the perfect stranger.
That's the Balky.
Nice.
That was well played.
And that was kind of where we left it, was we were on our way back to camp with Joe dead, the rest of us kind of riding in silence. And
So there were 2 things I want to add to that to make sure you guys remember them. One is, Wayne, you violated every rule of role-playing games and drank the water.
yeah.
And
I did mention that my tongue went numb.
yes. And secondly, that at the end, when Casey was asked a question, after having a bunch of nightmares the prior night about people stalking him, Modamar heard Casey give a different answer than what everyone else did.
Right. I actually had seen a vision of a yellow-eyed, I believe it was a yellow-eyed man.
Yeah.
And it goes by the name of the eel.
Yeah.
And then when I came out of it, I looked at Lee, and he was the eel, except didn't have those eyes.
Oh, I forgot all about that. And we did get the door open in the cave, but we
Yes.
didn't see anything right away. I did get the notebook, though.
Yes.
Was it? Never mind. I'm not going to ask that question yet.
Okay, so right now, you guys are, this is the following morning.
Oh, and before we start, real quick, there was some sound issues on the last recording. Don't exactly know what it was, but we're going to try to not have that.
So
we have theories on what it was.
My first theory is this.
Yeah.
That it might have been his chair rocking. It also may have been Broder, since he didn't have his notes, was writing on unpadded index cards on top, directly on the table, so it might have been that.
Right, and I press very hard when I write. So
Furious note-taking.
Yeah.
Yeah, and if anyone, or if anyone has that leg bouncing habit, don't do that. So
Whatever it was, we're sure it's Brodo's fault.
The one last thing that I think is really, really important is that my new character's driving goal is to find viable vinegar, and I'm gonna make Maw Carver's magic douche. So we're gonna get water from the cave. We're going to mix it with vinegar, and we're gonna have the first post-war magic douche.
He's a traveling douche salesman.
That's right.
wow.
It's numbing, so we're good for birthing, abortion, the cat houses. I mean, we're set. We're gonna make money. Space coins. I'm gonna have like Scrooge fucking McDuck swimming in space coins.
Coat hanger hysterectomies.
My mom had a hysterectomy shortly after I was born. I literally broke the mold. True story, by the way.
Okay.
I just had to get the Brodor out before I got serious. I'm sorry.
Okay, yeah, thank you. I appreciate that.
All right.
Because my new character, when I'm gonna play me an ist, I'm gonna get up in them guts, Moni Mar. Yeah.
All I had to do is ask.
Liar is such heavy smokers. Is there like a pool hall?
There's
in
a lot
Southern
of there's a
Missouri?
lot of pull. Just
Okay, so thank you guys for that. I appreciate
All
it.
right, that's game. We'll see.
sometimes you gotta shake it out. You just gotta,
No one's getting a bullet for that.
I think you're tempted to give me a bullet.
Yeah, maybe at the 1,500 feet per second method. But all right, so it's the following morning. You guys have slept through the night. Are
More or less,
yeah, are now at the point of kind of feeding yourselves, breaking camp, and the party, as a reminder, is the player characters plus Casey plus Dr. Marshall, and of the 6 ists that were with you, 3 of them are still alive and loyal to Modamar's, what they are convinced is Modamar's pending revolution.
And the only one whose name we bothered to get is Yak.
Yes.
Well, after we learned it was Yak, we didn't want any of the other names.
That's fair.
I'm spit.
You know, when I named him, I'll leave that.
That'll be a GM confessional.
If you
can talk
never
about
find
how
out,
you named characters.
how Yak got his name. All right, so
Oh, and we have Songbird.
yes, and you also have Songbird, who is Maw Carver's.
We should do a GM confessional after this.
Handmaid.
After the game.
Yeah,
They're like you and me when these guys leave.
That's fine.
I'm on vacation.
Oh, are you? I'm not. So
But you stay up anyway.
I do because of insomnia. So all right. God bless. Bleed, sleep, delete.
Blip, 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 blip.
Striatal dose. Delayed sleep phase disorder, DSPD. Anyway, insomnia. Okay, so Lee, do you want to lead this off?
Well, so Lee has, after the incident, Lee hasn't spoken at all. I mean, obviously he looks shaken up, but then he doesn't look shaken up, and He just hasn't said a word. He isn't necessarily avoiding, like he isn't like going 20 feet away from the camp and in a hut. He just hasn't said a word.
I don't think Philip's talked to anyone either since I don't remember any talking afterwards. The hat he's put in his bag, he won't wear it.
Mm-hmm.
And Philip, by the way, while it started in the mouth and chest, by the time that you wake up, your body's almost entirely numb. The same as Modamar's is now.
Now, out of character, he hasn't had any vision or anything?
Not yet.
Okay. Oh, spoilers! I did not drink the water, thank God. So,
I think at that point, I would, when I wake up, I probably will look for Modamar.
Oh, he's right there. He's not hard to find. I mean, you guys have a relatively small group that's clustered together.
Lee has been up for a while. He's an early riser. He didn't get any sleep last night anyway. He's up, and I'm going to say where we're at.
Okay.
So we're like, rolling hills, southern Missouri.
Yeah.
And we're in an open clearing. The leaves are falling off the trees because it's October and turning colors and whatnot. But we're in a big sort of open clearing in a valley between two hills where we camped out. And but there's lots of like wildflowers around and sort of late bloom stuff. And Lee was already up, and he is in the early morning light. You see him a little ways away from the camp, and it looks like he's squatting in the bushes, not squatting, pooping, but with his sketchbook, and looks like he might be sketching a flower or something.
Okay. I'll assess my Modamar first. Are you still numb?
Yeah. Yeah. I poke my face. I got nothing.
I don't either.
You didn't go in the water.
No, I just tasted it.
I didn't drink the water. I'm fairly certain you might be fucked.
I'm sure when you were under, some of it got in your mouth.
Well, maybe a little. Well, you went up my nose.
Maybe we should talk to Dr. Marshall.
She seems just as weirded out as we are. Where is Dr. Marshall's just right there?
Oh, yeah, she's right there.
Yeah.
She hasn't gone anywhere.
So, is this going to go away?
I don't have any idea what's causing it.
I'm completely numb too now.
Well, the only commonality in that, of course, is the water. Are you experiencing any other symptoms?
No, just
But
numb.
I'm numb on the outside. Can I feel like hunger, take shit, that kind of thing?
Those kinds of urges, yes. There's actually, your character would know, there's actually a different mechanism behind those kinds of nervous impulses. So that you feel.
Okay.
But you do not feel any other general physical sensations. You don't feel hot, you don't feel cold, you don't feel any pain.
And Phil's feeling the same thing.
Yes, and Phil is now, he's not quite all the way there, but he's rapidly approaching the same point.
I pull out the journal. It's like, I got this journal from the cave that I'm pretty sure was Ma Carver's when she was there.
Oh yeah, and we got Koresh's wallet too.
And
Fuck that guy charges his
this
credit
book
card.
has a lot of Latin terms that I don't know in it.
She takes it from you and says, you're going to have to give me a few minutes to read this. This is fairly extensive field notes that go back.
You knew about the bats, so I thought maybe this would be useful.
Sorry, Brodor has started the real game.
Oh yeah. So I, as they're talking, I'll start. I've got Joe's stuff just kind of bundled up in it, in what's left of his coat, and I pull out the picture, the drawing, and I walk over and I just lay it on Lee's sketchbook.
You, as you come over and you lay it on there, you see a sort of half-drawn jackrabbit. And it's like, how when you draw something, you draw a circle, and then you draw like a plus, and then that kind of stages the eyes. I don't know what that's called. I'm sure it's called something. And you kind of draw the frame of it, and then you start drawing around it for the details. It's like he's kind of has that going on for this rabbit, that couple of rabbits that are, a little ways away from you. But he's just kind of like, not really, it doesn't seem like he's really into it. He's drawing, you lay that in front of him, he stops. He kind of stares at it for a minute. How are you feeling?
Numb. Leg works, though.
That's good. I'm glad. I am glad. He's actually talking louder than usual. I forgot about that. Oh. He's like, "Oh, that's good. That's great. Great. My ears are ringing still."
When did your eyes change?
Lee doesn't wear glasses or anything. He looks at you and goes like, "What?"
Your eyes. They used to be a different color.
Well, they're still blue, right? He makes his eyes wide, looks at you. He's got very icy blue. I mean, it's not like, oh, he's a cold hard killer, but no, I like ice blue, very shot through with white streaks eyes. There's sort of a deep blue corona around the edges of them.
Monomer, when you look at them, they are blue. You're not sure why you thought they were yellow earlier.
It's just something I saw.
Well,
I thought it was a dream.
I'm sure that you would have lots of those dreams and such, and after what happened.
Yeah, the doc's been giving me some pain medicine too.
Oh, that'll do it.
Yeah. I haven't pooped in 4 days.
Must be really bound up.
And now I can't even feel that.
Oh,
wait until she starts throwing in the iron supplements.
I'm about to go get it.
Well, eat, sleep, all that.
Yeah.
How's Philip? I'm going to stop speaking loud. But he is still speaking loud because
I look over. He's okay. I think he's taking it pretty hard.
Mm. How are you taking it, Joe? I mean,
shrug. He's gone.
Yeah.
I tried to bring him back, but the pool didn't work.
No,
So-
it didn't. I wish it had.
Well,
Modmar, I'm really angry at Philip
why?
right now. I think he's responsible for getting Joe. You're not standing there, right?
No.
Okay.
I'm over talking to Dr. Marshall, watching her read the book.
I think it's kind of his fault. Joe died. I think he kind of pushed him into that.
No, he didn't push Joe. Joe did it himself.
You know how when I talk to people, sometimes I can get them to do things for me that they wouldn't normally do?
No.
There. You know how some people can do that?
I suppose.
Philip did that. And
Koresh did that too.
Right. Yeah. He does that a lot. Or did that a lot. Philip does that.
Oh, is that why he's Mr. Bastard?
Yes, absolutely. But he does it to business things, to make deals and sell things, and I do it for other reasons. And I replay what happened last night. I didn't get any sleep. I was just thinking about it all night, and I was trying to push Joe, just through words, and I think Philip was trying to push Joe through words, and I think I'm just not really happy with Philip right now. But Modemar, we're in a really dangerous place.
Yeah.
And I don't think that Philip realizes that when we get back, we're going to have some real problems.
What problem?
Well, think about this. How many people in this group were for Koresh in the firefight?
The dead ones?
Yeah. How many were there?
I honestly don't remember. It was probably like, what,
Is
4?
Correction 3?
They were evenly split.
So
3 and 3.
3 and 3. So 3 of them, yeah.
How many were against Koresh?
Same amount.
So when we get back to the camp, how many people do you think are in the camp?
There's probably hundreds.
And how many of those are against Koresh? And we don't know.
We don't know.
Lots. Could be.
Probably.
And how many were for Koresh? We don't know. Again, probably lots.
Mm-hmm.
So when we come back, the people who were for Koresh,
Yeah.
they're armed. They're angry.
But
They eat people.
well, I see what you're saying, but Koresh said that, and Ma Carver believed that I'm something of an important person, and I'm not good with words and saying things, but you and Phil are. And if they believed in Koresh, then shouldn't they believe in me?
I think I kind of figured out what Phil was trying to do, and I think he did it too soon because we don't know enough. Because there could also be other people who don't hate Koresh or like him, but don't hate you or like you and are doing something that we can't even think about and predict.
Maybe.
I just think that when we roll back into camp, there's going to be fighting
Well,
over you.
it's possible, but you're also putting a different. These people don't think that same way. You're thinking like a civilized person,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
They respect strength. They'll respect what Phil did when they find out. Koresh showed a weakness, and that weakness was taken care of. That's what they'll know.
Do you want to stay with them?
No.
Or do you want to leave?
No, I don't know. I don't think. I don't think that St. Louis is wrong for how they feel about the Ists. But now that I'm older, I don't necessarily think that the Ists are that wrong either. I don't know.
I think that people need to decide for themselves what's right and wrong and that sort of thing, and I think to make good decisions about that, they have to know things and they have to understand things about the world around them, truths. And I think that the problem with the Ists is that they not only don't want to understand the world around them and what's going on, they want to lie to themselves about how the world works. And through that gives them reason to do some of the scary things that they do. And I think St. Louis is a lot like the Ist. It's only like it's like a coin. It's the other side of the coin. They know a lot of things, and they don't want people making their own decisions. Everybody has a place in the machine, and then they, as a organism, as the machine, decide what that place is. People don't get to choose.
Is are the same way.
Yeah.
As much as they say they want to be free, they're not really free.
You're right. They're not very smart either. Well, they destroy. They go to a farm and they destroy it because it's on their land, and then they take the stuff from the farm. But what about next year? Farms destroyed, people are killed. Nothing's growing there. Is certainly aren't going to grow anything there, and nobody's going to go there because the Is killed everybody. So they go to the next farm, the next farm, the next town, the next farm, the next town. What happens when they run out of farms and towns?
Everyone starts.
Yeah. Wouldn't it be better to, if you were an ist, go to towns and farms and say, you give us so much, and we'll leave you enough to carry on and live, so that we can come back next year and take what we need. I think that the ist will eventually, either someone will rise up and stop them, or they will consume themselves, or they'll burn out an area and starve. I can at least look at St. Louis and I can see a future. It's not a future that I would want, and it's a future that could possibly be changed.
Lee, you notice Songbird eavesdropping.
Lee just continues talking. So I just think that people should understand things and understand how the world works and learn the truth of things. Then maybe people can decide things for themselves. Because I think people are pretty smart when they're not trying to kill each other. But, like I said, I want to be very, very angry at Philip right now, and I don't think we, the three of us, can afford that. Because I think it's going to get very, very dangerous, and we need each other right now. But, that said, I think the three of us need to kind of get on the same page. Because what happened in that cave, that got Joe killed, and ultimately it got him killed because we were not on the same page. And it is too dangerous right now.
Isn't that what Joe always wanted you to do? Get on the same page?
As him? Yeah.
Okay.
Not half so discreetly, Yak is coming over toward you guys, just crunching through the leaves and pushing his way through the underbrush and the leafless branches of the trees.
And here comes one who would be king.
Yak.
Modamar! A glorious morning.
I look up. Yeah.
It's time to return. Tell me you've given some thought to how we do it.
You tell me. How should we do it?
Well, do you want to see who follows you, or do you want to just see who doesn't? There's value to both. You get in there, you get all the people to follow you. You got the whole sum of the Carver clan. You find out who doesn't follow you, my man, and what you get is you get the authentic believers.
Yeah. What does that mean?
What that means is you can either walk in and we can give some bullshit story about Koresh getting carried up into heaven, and everybody says, oh, it must have been a holy event, and Modamar's, he's the chosen child now, or whatever it is you want them to believe, and they follow you. Or you can walk in and say, he was a pussy and I killed him. And Then some people get mad, but they weren't the ones who really believed in the way the Carver clan ought to be anyway. The way the real Maw used to stand for things. We get rid of them and we go back to how it used to be.
So with his first suggestion, Koresh getting carried into heaven, people will try and kill you in the middle of the night secretly. The second suggestion of Koresh being a pussy, people will try and kill you right there where you stand.
Well, it depends on what you do with Maw, the one that's alive right now. Aunt Maw. Depends on what you do with her.
Okay.
So long as she's calling the
Is Philip
shots.
looking in our direction, perchance?
Because Yak is not even being slightly discreet.
Yeah, with Yak being loud, I would have.
Lee looks up at you. It's like 100 feet away, and Lee's like, nods his head like this, like, come over here.
I walk over to the group,
All right.
leaving the doctor with the book.
I look at Yak, and I'll say, I don't know much about the way the old Carver was, but what would the old Carver do with a mouthy fuck like you?
I was around for it. I'm here right now, ain't I?
So,
They put me to work doing the good stuff.
so you're saying you want to do the good stuff?
That's exactly what I'm saying.
His idea of the good stuff is the kind of stuff we saw back on the farm.
It's the Praetorian Guard, raising a new Caesar.
I just look around like I don't know what the hell we're talking about.
I tell you what, we'll make sure our man understands, and then we'll get back to you. Afternoon. How about lunchtime?
You want to stay here till lunchtime?
No, we're gonna move.
We need to move.
We are gonna move, but we'll discuss it in transit. Make sure everyone's on the same page.
All right. All right, then.
Well, we ride in, but we're not going to make a spectacle of it. We're just going to ride in. We'll answer the questions tomorrow. Everybody else can fuck off.
Oh, that's a good play. That's a good play. You go straight to power. You handle it there. Work from the top down. I see what your play is. Top down, bottom up. That's how you do it.
Yeah.
One of the two, and you've chosen top
Reminds me of
down.
something Pops used to always say.
So it's not constant.
Correct.
Where there's honey, there's motherfuckers.
Right.
I
Top down, bottom up, you end up with shit on your shoes.
He said that often.
I don't recollect a paw carver, but all right.
Yak, can you answer a couple questions for me?
Shoot.
How many factions are there in the clan? Factions, families, groups, people who stick together.
Just two. As far as I see it. I mean, everyone's got their own opinion.
But when it comes down to a fight, how many groups are going to be fighting each other?
Just two. Those that think that what it means to be a carver is to follow whoever has the carver name, and those who think it means a little something more. It's about the way you do things. It's about the heart and soul. And I don't mean that bullshit Koresh was spinning.
Right.
I mean the real heart and soul.
How many people are caught in the middle between those two factions?
You start shooting, one's caught in the middle, are most useless of all.
I point over to Songbird. Something tells me she wouldn't be fighting for either side.
Yeah, something tells me I don't give a shit. And that's the point.
Yak, which faction is bigger? Which faction has more guns? More men with guns?
And a lot of people won't say because they're going to join whatever the winning side is. That's why you got to come in with a winning move.
Right.
Take the undecideds and give them something to decide on. Give him a reason to believe.
And there's your answer.
He just kind of looks around at everyone. Yak, has anyone else been baptized?
No, that's right. That's only reserved for those that Koresh selects.
Has he selected anyone before Modamar?
The one I'm aware of. This place he called holy, nobody goes. I ought to go back there and piss in it.
I kind of come out. So, you're unique.
That's not such a good thing.
Oh, I think Koresh thought you were unique because you're family, not his family.
Does Koresh have any family?
None I know of.
Does he have any confidants? People who trust him? People he works closely with?
Tended to just stick to himself, talk to Ma.
That could be an advantage.
This Ma,
Right.
not the Ma.
No, not the
Did he ever have any dealings with the Ma?
Oh, yeah. She wasn't terribly interested in him. She'd hear him out. She'd let him say his piece, but no, she wasn't real interested in him. She wasn't exactly what you would call the religious sort.
I see.
I think going in, answering no questions until you talk to Ma, that does sound like the right move to me.
Morty, don't you start listening to these guys. You gotta stand on your own 2 feet if we're gonna do this. What's the play?
We ride in.
And
Nobody says a word until we're in front of Ma. And I'll handle it from there.
all right, I got some belief in you. I like where this is going. He starts walking back towards the horses, but calls back as he leaves them. I want to see the hillsides in smoke.
When Yak walks away, Songbird, very meek,
A shooter.
very meekly walks over to Lee and whispers in his ear. She points off into the distance and whispers in his ear. And she looks at Modamar and she says, and that is his Rubicon. And she walks away from him.
Huh. We need to get on the same page.
Yeah. Be nice to know what page you're on.
Not starting a civil war. Not getting people killed. Not passing notes. Not playing the real game during role playing.
Look, I don't know what your deal is. You've been with us from the beginning of this, keeping secrets from us. You talked to Ma Carver, you talked to Koresh, just like they were just as good of buddies as any of us all along. I don't know what side you're playing to anything. I know you didn't seem to want to take part in any conflict ever, not willing to stand up for anything ever, but you were driving Joe to be the big damn hero and save St. Louis. These people are violent. They're horrible. Koresh needed to die. No, I didn't want that to happen, of course. That was horrible. I didn't think he would react like that. But Koresh needed to die. It's a violent world. These people are violent, and there's a good chance that we're going to die before this is over. We need to get on the same page. Damn right we are. And I need to know what page that is for you. Whose side are you really on? Because right now it looks like the side is Lee's.
Joe asked me once, what do I do? What do I do? What decision should I make here? And I told him that he needs to do the most amount of good for the most amount of people. That's what side I'm on. When we walk into that camp, it could erupt in civil war.
Yes, it could.
Is that a bad thing?
For me, because Lee is on Lee's side, it is because Lee doesn't want to die. Lee has
If they're
work
shooting
to
at,
do.
at each other, they're not shooting at us.
They are absolutely going to be shooting at us because we are going to be standing next to you. And they are, some of them, half of them are probably going to be shooting at you. If a fight breaks out. I don't think that we should be making power plays at an IST camp. I think we should be concentrating on leaving the IST camp. And leaving in such a way that we don't have a posse chasing us.
Will they let me go?
No. That is the Praetorian Guard. Rome, ancient Rome, thousands of years ago. They had leaders called Caesars, named after one of the leaders, whose name was Caesar. He had a group of soldiers that protected him. They were the elite guard. After a while, after a few Caesars, when the empire was falling apart, when one of the leaders died, the Praetorian Guard had a thought. If there's no emperor, they're out of a job. That's why he set you up as emperor, motioning to Yak. He is going to make you his puppet.
Everyone wants to kill the king and take his throne. No one wants to kill the king's right-hand man.
Right. Which is why I think it was a mistake, for various reasons, to lead Modamar down that path. Because now we are in the middle of this situation.
Situation is what it is now. We need to figure out what we're doing going forward. Koresh is dead. I'm not not
Is there
sad
anyone
that
else
Koresh
you
is
think
dead.
needs to die?
No. Just Koresh. He needed to die.
Then you should have killed him. But all that is done.
I planned on it. Joe ran ahead.
I'm not going to blame the dead.
Of course you're not.
We
We could try blaming the world that made this like this. They're lashing out back at the world. Maybe it's some justice against St. Louis to have them out here.
They're doing this because they want to eat this winter.
Yeah. And if St. Louis was providing food down to them, would they still be doing this? I don't know. At this point, they are what they are. Out of character for Modamar, Philip has never talked about them in anything like this before. They've just been the monsters, especially all the conversations after the farm.
Theists are a remnant of an earlier time. Hanging on to life. they could potentially become a force, a government, a society even.
You could say St. Louis is also a remnant of a bygone time, and it's holding on. It's just holding on a lot stronger.
And you're absolutely correct.
Who knows what the rest of this country looks like out there?
That's very true.
But what are we going... All right, we want to be on the same page. What's our goal?
Leave the camp alive.
With my daughter.
So Songbird makes her way back with a canteen of water and offers it to Lee.
Thanks.
As if you come back with a canteen of water and offer it to Lee, you hear the click of a hammer behind you.
Okay.
Dr. Marshall is walking towards you with a revolver with hammer down. And she's got it pointed at Songbird and says, Lee, if you value your life, you give her that water back.
Lee slowly hands the canteen. Actually, Lee stops and looks at, is this Koresh's canteen?
Is it?
No.
Okay.
He hands it back.
No, it's just... my intention was just basic water.
You pour that shit out on the ground right now. If we need water, we're getting water from one of the streams we passed on the way up here. Pour it out.
I take the canteen and pour it out.
Dr. Marshall, how bad is it?
Lee, are you thirsty? If you're thirsty, we'll get you water. I've got water, and I know where it came from.
What did we drink? I look over at Motomar, and I'm looking back at the doctor.
I didn't drink any of the magic water.
I know you didn't. And by the way, her gun is not on
You're
you.
right.
It's on Songbird. It's not on you.
Lee, I did, and I
Lee
can't
kind of
feel
like
anything.
holds his hand up to you, and he slowly walks over to Dr. Marshall, and he very slowly...
And she never points the gun at you.
Oh, no,
The
yeah.
whole time you walk, any angle you want, she never once trains the gun on you.
He walks over, and he puts his hand on top of her gun and says, Let's talk. And
She lowers the revolver and holds the trigger just enough to release the hammer and uses her thumb to put the hammer back in position. And but she keeps the gun in her hand and she reaches under her coat and she takes out something she had tucked in her arm, which is that notebook from the cave.
Mm-hmm.
How bad is it, doctor? What did we ingest?
You know what the list of viruses?
No.
Does Lee know?
You might. I'll give you a 2d6 of knowledge, because it is plausible you might have heard it somewhere.
4, 5, 6, 7, 17.
Definitely familiar. You can't quite place it. It's familiar.
Is it pre-war, post-war?
None of the both. It's
Okay.
both. This is not a genetic creation.
Okay.
You've heard about this in terms of epidemiology.
Mm-hmm.
So this notebook, let me tell you about the real story of that holy cave back there. There's no religious service going on there. I think what happened is you had a pastor driven mad, and religion just so happened to be the metaphor that he knew for his insanity. Years ago, there was a condition called white nose of sweeping through the bat populations in this part of the country. That white nose was caused by a type of fungus. Fungus that has a big long name that ends in destructans. That's a pretty appropriate name for it, because the bats were an important part of controlling a whole lot of pest species around here, and bats were dying. So, scientists, zoologists, conservationists, the types of ists that we don't have anymore that actually would have helped the world, set out to try and save the bat population.
One of them was the current Mal Carver.
I think she might have been involved. I don't think she was technically educated enough to have actually been at the top of this, but she might have been involved.
I'm pretty sure that's her journal.
How old is Songbird?
26. Mid to mid late 20s.
Cougar.
Like I said.
So they found a bacterial agent that would control it. But it wasn't doing a good enough job. In nature, there's a bacterium. No, it's Rhodococcus. It's a type of Rhodococcus that feeds on or destroys the fungus that causes white nose. So they had an idea. What if we try and spruce it up a bit genetically and unleash it into the population to try and wipe out this fungal agent? And it worked. Would have saved the bat population, except something went wrong. As I get farther into these notes and the months start to go by, they find out something's gone terribly wrong. You see, there's a property of viruses. And by the way, she's only looking at you when she says this. It's a property of viruses. They take genetic information from one organism, and they sometimes pick it up themselves and integrate it, or carry it to other organisms.
They mutate.
They mutate. The specific agent by which they do this is called a plasmid. It's a chunk of DNA that they pick up. And sometimes it's just foreign junk. Other times it radically changes the way that a virus or any receiving organism operates. They've been seen to rewrite entire bacteria doing this. They got picked up, something in there got picked up by what's commonly known, or what's technically known as lyssavirus, commonly known as rabies. The rabies that those bats were carrying naturally picked up some portion of that souped up genetic code, and it started attacking the nervous system of the people that were nearby. But it didn't have the normal rabies symptoms, and it didn't kill like rabies kills. It's similar to rabies. It attacks the nervous system. It attacks starting with someone's ability to feel numbness. Then it starts moving into the head. They start hallucinating. They start getting agitated. But unlike actual rabies, it never starts poking holes in the brain and killing the subject. That's what these two have just ingested.
Long story short, what's it going to do to him?
Koresh and Malcarver? Give it a little while.
The wild days?
Don't know. Those records might be in the hospital they were taken to, not in here. This is just field research. They quarantined it, apparently put warnings up, sealed off the area. I'm guessing that's some of the stuff we picked through in the foliage before we went in there. When Koresh dipped them in there, he exposed them to the exact same virus he's already been exposed to decades ago.
No cure?
Might be. Cure to general rabies. If we get you back to St. Louis, they've got it. Treatments. Once again, get you back to St. Louis, they might have it. There's a genetics lab in St. Louis. Out here, I've got nothing. You get me back to House Denham, maybe I can talk them into doing something for you. But out here, have either of you had hallucinations, felt paranoia, agitation?
Anyone seen Jesus yet?
Yeah, I say. So you're saying it's not God?
No, what I'm saying, given enough time, and you'll think it is, no matter what I tell you.
Find your lack of faith disturbing.
You actually, I'll let you choose that character-wise. You might.
Are we contagious?
Not except by direct blood-to-blood transfer, which I'm not going to engineer.
That's good. I look at.
Whatever cured you, Motomar,
Yeah.
and I need you to understand this while there's still enough left of you to hear it.
Uh-huh.
Whatever made you better,
Yeah.
it might have come from the Rat Man's injector. It didn't come from that water. Rabies doesn't heal muscle and bone.
Could it have worked with both? Because Philip's not healed.
Maybe, but he also wasn't injected with whatever the Rat Man had.
That's what I'm saying. Do things work like that?
They could. I don't know what's in those hypos.
Working together.
Maybe one affected the other. Maybe it's just a coincidence.
Maybe it's a miracle.
Songbird,
Fine, maybe it's a miracle.
you getting all this? Lee says, "Are you getting all this?" He gives you a wry smile.
No. I followed to some degree.
Yeah, I got that.
I'd lean over to Dr. Marshall this time. I may be able to help you with. I may be able to help you with what Motomar was injected with when we returned to camp.
Because you're going to tell me now these have a genetic lab.
Not the water, the injection.
Okay. Songbird, I don't know what Koresh told you. They don't have the ability to make that.
Doctor, the Rat Man was there in the camp at one point. While Carver was talking about him. That, I think, was the Rat Man's medicine.
Maybe.
And I'm betting there's more back there, isn't there?
Is anybody else listening to us?
In terms of the general is?
Yeah.
No.
There's more back there, isn't there?
What was in those injectors was not water. I saw the consistency of it. It is not the water from that cave.
Please.
Space medicine. It's got to be space. I bet space medicine can fix my arm.
Please. I may be able to assist you with the answer when we return to camp. But when we return to camp, it is going to be very important that she turns to Motomar. It's very important that you try to straddle the fence between the two factions. There is one faction that believes it's
Songbird, do me a favor.
Mm-hmm.
He takes a book out of his pouch, opens it up, sticks it in your face, said, "Read this."
I never cared for this. Midway upon the journey of our life, I found myself within a forest dark, for the straightforward pathway had been lost. Is that sufficient?
Yes, thank you. She's not honest.
My point is that
Where did they get you?
it is. We do not have time for this. It is not about strength
I
versus
tried to
weakness.
ask her that question on the way in. and
It's
she
not
wouldn't
about
answer.
straddling worlds, Songbird. It's about straddling the men that these two people used to be and the men they're soon going to be. If we don't get them help now, you look at a virus like lucivirus, there is no coming back from what that does to you. There will be a point of no return that we may be fast approaching where these two are going to be Carvers through and through, or something insane you're never going to recognize.
Doctor, please, you're going to draw attention. What I'm saying is that we have to go back to the camp either way, correct?
No, absolutely not correct.
My daughter's in that camp. We have to go back to the camp.
So, when going back to the camp, there are going to be two factions. The Might Makes Right faction and the Religious Zealot faction.
I kind of nod towards where.
When you return, if we are going to leave, you cannot pick. Lee is correct. They are brimming for a
Civil War?
yes, that. The point is that if you pick, things will, as they say, kick off. You cannot pick. We have to get Philip's daughter, and we have to get my things, and we have to leave.
Okay. So, and I'm going to say this once, and only once. It's not Philip's daughter. It's Modamar's daughter. If anything is uttered to the contrary, we die. Is that clear to everyone?
I have this look over my face. I was like, what? How the hell did I let that slip? And I just kind of looking directly at Songbird.
I look at Lee looks at
You better hope he's right about her not being an ist. She puts the gun back in her jacket and goes back to the horses.
Okay. Here are the options. Camp. Modamar's daughter. And he looks at each one of you. Songbird's things. No decisions getting made. No shooting. Songbird, you teased us with a possible cure, help, something for these two.
I believe that I have something that I can show Dr. Marshall that may assist her in determining what Modamar was injected with.
It's in the camp.
It is among my things.
Okay.
Lee, you don't know how much it pains me to say this. I can't trust my own decisions right now. So I am going to go along with whatever you suggest.
Seeing as how my suggestion is going to be to get Modamar's daughter, I think you should give me a fucking medal. So, camp, daughter, things, and we start dancing when people start asking questions. Then we have to leave. I don't know how we're going to leave, but we can only figure that out when we get there.
Okay. I'm going to pass a note to Dan that I'm going to actually give to that I'm actually going to give to I'm going to give to Chad for, I almost called you Lad, that I'm going to give to Chad for Lee. So when we break, Songbird is going to hang back and whisper this into Chad's ear. Or Lee's ear, excuse me.
I do want to ask Songbird, I'm going to nod towards Yak and say, are they going to be a problem?
They're already a problem. They're our biggest problem.
All right, I get up.
Don't kill them.
If they're going to be a problem, we need to handle it.
No. Lee, is really, stops. He holds up a finger, and then he stops again, and he goes, you two need to stop fucking killing people.
If you give me your shotgun, I can make it real fast.
Modamar, please. When Lee's absolutely right. We cannot do anything to them now, because if we are going to do something when we get back, we are going to need a distraction, a diversion to leave. In order to leave, we may need them to be part of that distraction.
Like throwing them at the other faction, and we go the other way.
Right.
If we come back without them, no one's talking to us.
Exactly.
Yeah. It's entirely too suspicious. It's already a challenge that we're returning without Koresh and people that were loyal to him, that others in the camp will likely know we're loyal to him as well.
That creates a narrative, and it's a narrative that will throw some people off and get some people moving, and it will buy us time.
And we can leverage that.
And if we come back with none of that, it's questions, and then questions with ists and answers, and the answer is the sound of a gun.
So, please.
So don't kill him.
Do not.
I sit back down.
You guys are going to give me an ulcer.
You probably deserve it.
You and I are going to have a conversation when we get on the river.
Yeah, we are.
Songbird looks at the two of you very seriously, from Philip to Lee, from Philip to Lee, and back again, and she says, "You two must set that aside." She looks at Motomar. "You must keep your wits about you." Because she stops. She has a very frustrated look on her face. If we are going to do this, it is going to be an ugly and terrifying thing.
Yeah.
Because what they're going to do to one another is going to pale in comparison to what they did on the Green Farm. And frankly, your friend Joe is the lucky one.
We all have to be on the same page here.
We have to go, and I've hovered too long, and I skitter away.
Songbird's like a servant, treat like
Yes.
a servant. Okay, as she gets halfway between us, Lee turns around and yells out and says, "And 2 slices of bacon!" Turns around.
She has bacon.
You can see across his face
Maybe
that
pocket bacon.
Philip is seething angry.
Philip, we got to get on the same page, or we're going to die.
But the people at the farm did.
You were telling me,
People at the farm.
Joe, you told
Joe
me.
led a charge to the farm. They weren't going to do anything. He led the charge. It was him that led
He
them to
looks
do
at the
all those
doctor.
horrible things.
She's down by the horses
Oh,
now.
he still looks at the doctor.
Actually, she meets your gaze with that disapproving look. Of like, not disapproving of you, just disapproving,
Yes. Her
dot star.
She has a passive, judgy face.
Yes.
Yeah, it's not resting bitch face. It's resting Dr. Marshall face. Yeah.
Maybe we've been wrong about these people all along.
You think?
World makes them do these things. I mean, what were they? Joe got them riled up.
Joe was a very likable guy. They liked him.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
I mean, I'm sure he didn't mean to get them riled up or anything, but
Philip. Philip.
For those of you listening to this, there has been, I mean, I swear, it is like freaking 7th grade composition class. There have been so many notes getting passed.
some of them
You would swear it's the week
Yeah.
before the Sadie Hawkins dance, the way notes are getting passed.
some of them are between players for
Don't I feel like a
pointing
fucking
out
nerd?
things
I
in
say, I'm gonna get
conversations. Some,
Oh, I got one for you. Don't worry.
Leanna.
yeah.
Leanne.
Or
So-
Leanne, I'm sorry.
I said some of them have been between players pointing out things in conversations.
Yeah.
Some of them have just been players complimenting. Some of them have been from Dan about what this is doing. So
What the characters now believe to be true.
yes.
Philip. Philip. Describe Leanne to me. What does her face look like?
He starts describing.
You can do so accurately.
Okay.
What was she wearing? Motomar, help him out. What was she wearing? What was she wearing when we left the camp?
It was a dress.
Yeah.
What kind of dress? Describe it to me.
Um,
He looks over at Dr. Marshall.
had yellow flowers on it.
Yellow? Flowers?
I shake my head. I don't look at little girls.
Well, that's good. Especially your own daughter.
And she was clutching Silly tightly, and she had
At Yodas and shit. On.
my dolphin. In her
Your
other hand.
dolphin, yes. And she had it in her hand, and she had Silly. What else about her?
She
How is her hair long or short?
long,
What color is it?
brown,
Brown, huh? That's very nice. What color are her eyes?
blue.
Very pretty blue.
She has 3 freckles
Mm-hmm.
on the cheek.
So, I'm not a doctor. But I have a prescription for you. I want you, and he's saying this haltingly as he's scribbling madly. I spelled dolphin. I spelled dolphin.
DOLPHIN.
I thought you smelled toast.
He takes a page out of his book and he rips it, again, very, very carefully. When your thoughts start getting weird, they start getting accelerating, and when people look at you weird, I want you to take this out, and I want you to look at it. All right?
He's kind of. There's actually a tears. Yeah, at the edge of his eyes as he's looking at the picture. All right.
Okay.
Philip, as you're looking at that picture, which I'm assuming what he gave you,
Yeah.
This picture of Slimer from Ghostbusters.
ass, completely irrelevant.
Right, the tears. Oh, it's touching.
You remember Mark Harver looking at the picture book, seeing a picture of her younger self, and almost without even knowing, maybe even totally without knowing she was even doing it, shedding a tear and saying something about, oh, how I miss her. And some part of you may begin to wonder, and I'll leave this up to you as the player to decide exactly how far off you are from that. Of looking at that picture of your daughter and not even knowing what it was to care about that.
I say nothing. I hold the picture down, and he moves in and goes to hug you.
Lee kind of like stiffens a little bit and, kind of gives you the pat hug and then stops and holds you and goes, we have to get out of here together.
And I'm close, like whispering in your ear so Modamar and none of the others can hear it. I need a favor. If I get too far gone,
No.
yes.
No.
If I get too far gone,
Kind of
I
hold you
don't
back.
want to become like her. I don't want to become a
Don't
danger.
ask me this, Philip.
I am asking you this.
Lee walks away.
As you
Visibly shaken.
are you walking toward the horses or away from them?
Walking to the camp to
Okay,
get my
so
bacon.
the horses. Okay, look at your bacon.
Fucking bacon.
Camp bacon.
Snap, snap, songbird.
Stab you.
Oh, yeah.
You think Joe wanted to kill you? Yeah. Ask for your fucking bacon.
Give him pocket ham instead.
Pocket. Pocket pig. Oh, goodness gracious. Okay, so as all right, so Lee heads back to the camp. As you do, Dr. Marshall is waiting there and pretty quickly leads a horse to you. You can tell she's quite eager to get moving.
All right, let's go.
I will never tell anyone not to rescue a little child, but I just want to say, just so we're 100% clear, because I think somebody needs to say this out loud to realize how dumb it sounds. We're about to trust an IST camp to provide us a cure to a genetically modified virus?
No, you're not.
Good. I'm glad there's a few of us that are still, right in the...
The trail is thin. Leads are tenuous. Is anybody around?
Not at the volume you're talking. I mean, there are people around, but
we could say
no one's
private.
no one. Well, yeah, no one's playing. Oh, once again, I would always prefer everyone speak up rather than whisper, and I will give you the benefit of the doubt of not being heard. Because
So Songbird's a traitor.
because I don't want us to start.
Because I've been waiting 5 minutes for my goddamn bacon.
The bacon's gonna get warmed in the crack of my sweaty ass.
That's Lee's King.
It's going to be dipped in the magic water.
Veg strips.
You said you got that all.
Yeah, I was like, this bacon's been in my prison wallet.
Okay. Right. So
In a woman's
yes.
prison, that's a pocketbook.
But yes, we are on. No, there's nothing in the IST camp for us. There's some clues, but she's not an IST.
I
They
know.
took her from somewhere. So
Right. We get her out of there,
Mhm.
and then we go back to House Dunham. If there is any solution to this, that is the only lead I have.
The only step I'm making now is camp, girl, stuff, escape.
As she's hopping up on a horse, Casey comes around to you leading his own horse.
Where have you been all morning?
Eating dead pig. Where have you been?
Jesus, where's my pig?
Dead. Eaten.
Yeah, oh well. We needed words of wisdom earlier, and you were eating bacon. But I can understand.
Yeah, you want some words of wisdom. I just got a question instead. So, saying these guys go completely loopy,
Right.
how do you want them?
Alive and loopy and lost in the woods.
Got it. That's what we can do.
They'll be the mad hermits of southern Missouri, but we're not killing them.
I can handle that.
If he was in his clear mind, he would have asked Casey instead of Lee.
Right.
So, Dr. Marshall, you're saying that you might be able to make it so I can feel my Jim again?
You suddenly made curing you a whole lot less attractive. Why don't you just get on a horse, since we don't have to haul you around anymore, and put your Jim to horseback, and we can ride back to the...
I can't even tell if I'm sitting on it.
In
Well, you
fairness,
couldn't tell that earlier anyway.
in fairness, Doctor, I have to admit, I was wondering the same thing.
Because you have a small dick, Motomar.
Oh,
That's
well,
why.
that's it's funny because it's true.
I don't know if anyone here knows what this is, but I did take a very old thing, goes way, way, way back before anything any of you remember. But I did take something called the Hippocratic Oath, and giving you two the ability to jack off was not part of it. She hops on a horse.
Just wouldn't be morning time without a whole lot of judginess.
It was a fair question, Motomar. I
Yak
was wondering it
stops.
too.
Yak pauses as he's riding past on his horse. He's like, I'm so excited. I'm about ready to jack off. Let's get this thing going.
We'll change it from the Carver to the Morningwood clan.
You give me back the way things used to be, and we can call it anything you want.
Be careful what you ask. And then I just ride off.
He makes several attempts to get on his horse, finally does, and starts trotting off.
All right, you guys ride throughout the day back east toward the Carver clan, and since you'd already stopped once at night, I'll give you guys enough of a head start, because you guys stopped to sleep prior to arriving at the cave, but since you did the same thing the night before, rode part way out, and then stopped, I'll have you reach the Carver clan in the same day. So about evening time, the sun's not set yet. It is low on the horizon, but it's not set yet. It's quite annoying actually because you're riding through woods, so it's not too bad. You're riding west into the setting sun, which, by the way, as someone who drives east in the morning and west in the evening, you really learn to hate the sun in a particularly unique way. But you guys have enough trees in the way that that's not really what's happening. It's obscured behind them. But you guys do ride west into the setting sun. And the sun is still above horizon when you reach the IS camp. You are met by some of their... You're not sure if they're organized enough to be border patrols, but they sure seem like it. Who, upon seeing you, make their calls back to camp.
Did they ever give you your guns back?
Not yet, no.
Good, I don't remind you.
They make the calls back to camp, and you get a quick response from camp, just this howl that echoes off the hills.
If it makes you feel better, he didn't have a usable gun really anyway.
Have I spent enough time with the IST to have any idea what was just communicated?
If not for your other thing, conceivably so.
So the question is that would be basically my incompetence battling my competence.
Correct. Exactly.
So just a base 2d6.
So straight neutral.
All right, and that will be smarts?
Yeah, I'll give you smarts or social, which I know from having written the stats, you're going to want smarts.
Yeah. So that is a 14.
You have learned some of it.
Okay.
You have not learned all of it. What you just recognized in that was basically an all clear followed by an acknowledgement.
Okay.
So that
then I don't respond.
Okay, so you recognize those. You do not know their full syntax or semantics.
Right.
But you do recognize that bit enough to know that it was a patrol call of it amounts to something like these are people we know and they're good. So it's the reverse of an alarm. It's a step down. It's don't be surprised by what's about to occur, followed by an acknowledgement that yes, we have heard you.
Right.
So you know enough to know that. All right. So you guys ride into camp. Do you go to Maul Carver's pavilion? I only need to know if the answer is no. Because if the answer is no, then
Yes, we go.
okay. So you go directly to. So
This is where my things are, correct? Or do I stay elsewhere?
you actually, your personal tent is one that is directly across from Maul Carver's.
Okay, perfect.
It's smaller. It's quite a bit. It's really just big enough for you, but you have pretty much free reign of Maul Carver's tent.
Okay.
She's never done anything to indicate you can't go basically anywhere you want. So you have pretty free reign to be anywhere you want to be and during this scene. But you do have a personal tent directly across from hers.
Well, I will join the rest of the party in with Ma Carver because obviously I want to report back and see if she has any needs that that have to be met.
Yak and his the two people that seem aligned to him, they stop on their horses and they remain outside the pavilion, but they are quite nearby. And you then, the group of you, I pointed to Simona for some reason, but the group of you go in, and Ma Carver is sitting in her chair, flipping through a large print copy of a book of Henry David Thoreau poems. And
Lee's like, I hate existentialism.
Before we go in, though, I grab Yak by the front of his shirt, and I pull him in close, and I say, "Don't let anybody in."
he smiles, and he points at you, and the three of them, they try to look inconspicuous, but take a position to block the door.
I walk over to, these guys go in, I walk over to Yak, and I don't grab his shirt, and I lean in, and I go, why don't you get Vodamar's daughter and bring her here? Because if something happens, we don't want anyone grabbing her. Like hostage, right?
Hey, Songbird, Make sure Leanne's in there.
Of course.
Do you go in there?
Yeah.
Okay. Leanne, okay, so remember how I described in the last game that if you walk through the door off to the right was a set of dividers beyond which was sort of like a Near Eastern style sleeping arrangement, just a bunch of stuff on the floor. It's that kind of, that obviously that setup's still there. Leanne is over there and she is playing with Silly, and she's basically playing by herself.
Okay.
So she's talking to Silly, and Silly talks back in a slightly different voice that she's making. And
When she was brought here to the camp,
yeah,
did they bring any of her things, clothes, so she doesn't have any kit that needs to be gathered
correct.
up?
She had the possessions that were physically on her, and that was it.
All right, so then I'm going to put my fingers to my lips. I'm going to look at her very seriously with elements of my old face and just indicate that she needs to shut the fuck up. And I'm going to pick her up.
Okay, if you pick her up, she gives you kind of an odd look, but otherwise doesn't react. She seems a little bit tense about it, but isn't like shrieking at you.
Okay, so I'm gonna pick her up and carry her in my arms, and then as soon as I think that I'm anywhere near, as soon as we walk out of her room, I'm gonna let all of that wash away and have that same sort of docile demeanor that I've been carrying.
Okay, so yeah, Songbird walks back into the room
Carrying Leanne.
with Leanne.
Right. She's got Silly.
Yeah, she has Silly.
You can tell that he looks relieved, but he's trying not to rush over.
Oh, Motamar, Marty dear, I see you've come back.
Yes.
How do you feel?
A little numb.
Oh, that's normal. That's normal when the spirit first washes over you. It's a bit much, but you'll adjust to it over time. You'll get used to it.
Did you do it?
Yes, I was baptized a long time ago. A very long time ago. Oh, I couldn't have been much older than you when it happened.
Mm-hmm. Is it, Then I just kind of sit there for a second, then I'll look at her and I'll go, is it the white nose?
The white nose? Oh, dear, I don't know what do you mean because of the cold? Sometimes my nose does get a little white or a little bit pink because of the cold. At my age, that happens. I imagine when you're my age, it'll happen to you too.
I said, no, it was something about the bats. I saw things.
Oh dear, you saw things in that cave?
Mm-hmm.
That can be part of it. Sometimes it's so much to take in. But please come in. Let's get you some warm milk and some of that cornbread. I know you like cornbread.
You like that cornbread?
And we'll get you settled and warmed up, and in no time you'll be feeling better.
Okay.
If, I hope he's not too tired from the journey, because I sure would like to talk to Pastor Koresh at some point.
No, he's dead.
Lee just stands there and goes, puts his hand on his face and goes, ugh.
I'm sorry. It sounded like you just said he was dead. I know that's...
Ma, he became dead to the world.
No. And then I say, his son killed him. And I thumb over to Casey.
Casey says that like...
Lee looks at Casey like...
What? Casey has a very, utterly confused. Close to deer in headlights as you've ever seen him.
I walk over to Songbird. It's like,
the-
I can take her if you want to get whatever you were going to get, because things are about
And then I
to
lean
happen,
forward and
it
I
seems
say,
like.
the righteous son will take the evil father's place.
But Koresh wasn't an evil man.
All right, so meanwhile, I pass Leanne to Philip, and I exit to go to my tent.
Okay, you go across to your tent.
Yeah.
You're by the way, at this point, you're not all that far away. You're within 20, 30 feet.
Okay.
So, but you are in your tent. Okay.
Yeah, and I say, Jacqueline, listen to me. Listen to me.
She looks behind. She's like, "Who's Jacqueline?"
All right, then I
Morty, honey, you're not making any sense. You think the pastor's dead, and you think I'm Jacqueline. My first name's June, but you can call me Granny. You don't need to call me June.
All right, I look at her really confused, and then I shake my head. That's not right. And then I like put my hands over my eyes and rub my eyes a little bit, my temples. It's not right.
No, son. If there's a righteous son here, it's you. And I know that Pastor Crash is okay, because my good grandnephew, who's like a son to me, would never hurt him.
I hold up his gas mask.
At this point, a recognition is now starting to break through even her. You're not sure what's senility, what's dementia, and what's just rabies drove her nuts.
Yeah.
But it's, well, semi-rabies, not quite rabies, drove her nuts, but recognition suddenly breaks through that.
Okay.
And not only do you have the mask, but unless you cleaned it, there's blood all over that
Oh, yeah.
mask.
Yeah, I didn't clean it.
And
then I give her a big, wide, like, cheesy grin and go, is the cornbread ready?
She takes a few steps back, says, my Morty, what, oh my goodness, what happened to the pastor?
He was evil. He was deceiving.
How was he deceiving?
He was found wanting by our Lord.
Wait.
And his son cleansed him. He is now cleansed in the waters.
She points sticky. That's his son? Give me 2d6 plus social. I want to see.
Nice.
Where is your convincing versus her crazy?
I don't even have a stat that is low as your social.
How is this washing out?
I'll bullet from the beginning.
Okay, you get another d6. Check, you passed me them there bullet.
Give me back my bullets.
That is 11, 12, 13.
By the way, the one that's in your inventory is not the same as the one you're in.
Brilliant.
Okay.
Brilliant.
All right, so I'm sorry, you got 14?
13.
13.
It's true, Ma. I found the religion myself, and damned if I didn't find out that actually is Koresh's son.
She stumbles backwards this time.
Long lost son. When he found out,
No, something's wrong here. He, like the good Lord, he was a virgin.
Philip was cleansed by the water too, Ma.
He's never known. He's never known no woman. He can't have a son. It's not possible.
Then I hold up his wallet.
like
We found this on him.
like Monomar said, he was a deceiver. He only said he was pure. He had a son.
No, that this isn't right at all.
And when he found out that his son was still alive, that's what drove him over the edge.
Someone's led you astray. Someone's confused you. Someone's led you to do terrible things.
He attacked us. That's why our friend isn't here. He killed our friend.
Killed Joe.
If he killed Joe, he must have had a good reason. He must have had a good reason.
Yeah, that Joe was a dick.
Marty, you're confused. You're confused. This man's leading you astray. This individual here, and for those of you at home, she's pointing to Phil. He's leading you astray.
No, ma'am. I'm following him. Following
Help!
his lead.
Help! Somebody help in here! There's confusion and irreligiosity.
And I yell, praise me!
Yak walks into the room, holds up a gun, says, "Praise be," bam, and one clean shot through Maul Carver's chest.
All right. And then I look over at Lee and go, I didn't do that.
You kind of did.
Right. I'm gonna throw my backpack. As soon as I have all my kit stowed, I'm gonna throw my backpack on my shoulders. Presumably, my rifle is wrapped in old, blankets or whatever.
Yep.
But so I'm gonna grab that too, and then I'm gonna, as soon as I can, as quickly as I can, beeline across into Maul Carver's tent.
Okay, Motomar. Yak is leading you, not violently, but he is attempting to lead you toward her chair. Actually, no, you said because you just handed her something, so you're close by it.
Mm-hmm.
So he walks over, grabs her still sort of tremoring corpse by the shoulder, throws it onto the floor, and give me a strength check. Could you say, unless you're not going to resist? He's not harming you.
I don't like the fact that he's touching me, so yeah, I'll resist.
Okay. Give me a strength check.
Yeah, that's a 13.
We're going to need a tiebreaker here because
Okay.
you guys tied on that one.
So roll it again.
Yeah, roll it again.
Nice.
Yeah, that's a 19.
Okay, he's attempting unsuccessfully. At first, we'll go with the tie here. So first, he kind of gets you a little off balance, and but then you realize he's not violently, but forcibly trying to push you into a chair, and you stiffen up a bit, and he's not as strong as you are, and he's trying to push you to sit in her chair.
I look. Lee,
And her corpse is now on the floor, bleeding out all over the rug that's there.
Lee, we gotta get out of here fast.
Oh, you can't leave. The good shit's just about to begin.
We can't. I lean into him so he can't. So Yak can't hear me. We can't let him do the talking to anyone.
Blood like rivers, blood like rivers, blood like rivers. Give him the shivers. He's walking towards the door of the tent.
Where are Casey and the doctor?
Casey and the doctor are standing just inside the door. Casey looking confused and the doctor looking frightened and horrified.
All right, I look over at Lee and I say, "Get them out of here." And then I sit on the chair.
Lee walks over to the table by the chair where Maw's big scrapbook is.
Yeah.
Picks it up, opens his satchel, and puts it in his satchel.
Okay. You have Maul Carver scrapbook.
Then he turns around and goes,
Note that in your inventory because once you know how to understand what's in it.
I'll write that down. Okay.
Okay.
Looks at these two, looks at Lee and looks at Casey and the doctor and goes, we're in a tent, right?
Right.
Yeah, pavilion.
And looks at Songbird.
The gunshot was rather loud, but
So
yes, you're in a pavilion.
when you turn over to Songbird, Songbird is mumbling to herself, and you make out that she is calculating the distance at which a firearms echo can be heard, and she's doing sort of complicated math that she's rattling out.
He looks at all of you and goes,
He's a fucking mentat.
who's got a knife?
Pull out a cutlass.
Songbird pulls out a knife from hidden in her back.
Okay. He points at Philip. Philip cut a hole in the back of the tent. That's how we're getting out of this tent. Songbird, where are the horses? You need to lead us to the horses, the back ways, so nobody can see
Can
us.
I use Ranger to? Can I use Ranger to kind of sketch out the best way of the camp to get stealthily
Yeah, give me
to the
a ranger
horses?
check because you're going to try and get out of here.
And when I say Ranger, I don't mean Dungeons and Dragons Ranger. I mean like Army Ranger.
Yeah. So ranger plus I'll give you perception on this one because this is recent recollection. So pick your best
17.
two. Okay, so 17. Yeah.
Oh, sorry, best two.
Best two.
15.
Okay. That's still sufficient.
Okay.
Because given the fact that is what you do, this is
Right.
to just try to remember the general layout of the camp.
Okay.
And can I make an assumption about the scene? That there are oil lamps hanging?
That would be true. So yes.
Lee walks over to the oil lamp in the middle and he looks at rest of you. Go. You two.
Isn't Yak still standing right there?
He has now walked to the door of the tent, and you have no idea what he's about to do. But he has walked to the door of the tent and stepping outside back to his two buddies.
I thought he had already walked outside.
Okay.
Well, he is in the process of doing so. If you want to say you
Lee
wait
would-
until
yeah.
that occurs,
Right.
okay. He steps outside, and as soon as he steps outside, yells, Queen's dead, rise up! And you hear, and he lets 2 shots fly.
As soon as Lee says that, Lee picks up the oil lamp and goes, "Follow her,
Okay.
run."
When he says follow me, and sort of a cliched cinematic moment, I grab the edges of the blanket and I unroll it that my rifle's in, and I don't know if my rifle is pre-war, post-war, how high-tech, low-tech.
Pre-war, but post-war, industrial level tech.
All right. And she has a long bolt-action rifle with a scope, and she goes commando style out the slit that Philip is cut in the tent and starts stalking toward the horses.
Go, go,
I'm
go.
following.
Okay.
And Lee smashes the oil lamp as he leaves.
Outside of the what you guys are catching as you are running for because the horses you came in on are on the opposite side of the tent, so you're having to go for a different set of horses.
Sure.
So the best route you've got is you think that you can cut through some of the tents to a set of horses that you know a particular individual stables, and grab some of those out of their little miniature pasture, and that's probably going to be your best way out of here. It's not going to be perfect because you don't have time to really get these horses ready, like, bit and bridle and
Right.
saddle and all that crap. But
I want to brush mine out.
yeah, okay.
Make friends with it.
But you know 1 or 2 of the horses are well enough tempered and trained that they should respond to just the nudging and commands well enough to lead the others. All right, so that's what you're making your way towards. As you look back towards the pavilion, you now, as getting the distance on it, start to get a better view of the camp. You can see that there is mostly at this point just confusion within the camp. Like, everyone's just kind of stopped. They're paying attention, but they don't know what to make of what they see until a particular group of individuals comes running up towards the tent. And by what happens next, you're going to guess these are current Malcarver loyalists, because the front 2 get dropped by Yak and his friends. And just mercilessly, just bam, bam, they're gone. And so whatever's about to happen
Is happening.
it's happening.
Yes.
People are figuring it out quickly, and it's about to go down.
As I'm going through the flap that Philip cut, I reach up, I grab the spoke wheel medallion around my neck, snap it, and drop it.
Interesting.
And you did hear I was setting the tent on fire.
Yes,
Okay.
you are studying the tent. Yeah, I caught that.
Okay.
It'll take a little bit for it to spread, given the size of the pavilion.
Sure.
But the pavilion's also highly flammable, so
Yeah.
this is not a cinder block pavilion.
And I pretty much dropped it right by Ma Carver's body.
Right, and like I said, this is not a cinder block pavilion. This is mostly canvas and such, so
Yeah.
it's not going to take all that long for it to go down in flames. But nonetheless, you drop the lantern, the oil's pouring out, the rugs around her are already going up in flames, the books that were next to her going up in flames. You just burned a Bible. I'll let you decide how you feel about that.
For the book.
You actually burned a bunch of books, because she had a whole stack of them
A whole
next to her.
stack of-
Yeah.
Can I retro go back and say I grabbed 3, random 3?
Sure, just whatever was on top.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Okay. One of them happened to be the Bible, because
Sure.
she actually referenced it fairly often. So
Still be on top.
So yeah, you got her scrapbook, you got a Bible, and you got a third book we'll work out later.
What kind of Bible? NIV, King James?
Gutenberg.
Gutenberg? Yeah, yes, the original. Next to the Stradivarius she had, too.
Yes. She has an
She just played
actual.
honky tonk on.
Yeah, she strikes me as a New King James type.
Okay.
So yeah, it's a New King James Bible. Plus, those are easy to find in gigantic old people print. So at least in the modern day, I don't know. Maybe by then, all Bibles. I don't know. But at least today, you want a Bible in gigantic, monstrous billboard print. King James or New King James is the easiest ones to find. So, all right, you guys take out off the back. All right. Let me read Roberta's hand me. Okay, we'll come back to that.
Yeah. I just wanted to make sure that was in that was in your head.
All right. So, what you guys do is, as you're running through camp, people are running towards the pavilion, from which there is now a fair amount of smoke coming up, and there is intermittent gunfire, and more frequent than the intermittent gunfire, you can hear the yells of people struggling. Because keep in mind, not all of us have guns. And so even when there's not gunfire, you hear what are probably people fighting, getting punched, getting stabbed, getting bludgeoned. Things you're better off not having Leanne see at the tender age of 3. And you guys reach it's a ranch of sorts that sits about midway to the edge of camp. And you, Songbird, would know the reason for this. Well, and probably most of you could intuit. You don't put the horses on the edge of camp. They're too easily stolen.
Mm-hmm.
You don't put them in the middle of the camp because they're too hard to access. And so they put them in just far enough to be difficult for anyone to steal, especially from the outside, but not to be so far towards the middle of the camp they're accessible to someone leaving camp and or filling the middle of the camp with horse shit. Just call a spade here.
Mm-hmm.
And by this point, let's see if the luck's holding up. Yeah, well enough. The owners of this ranch, the individual who normally manages this ranch, is wandering toward the middle of this settlement to see what's going on.
Okay.
And so you have pretty clean grab to take these horses and run. Now, once again, you think there's one that will respond just to a few kicks and some verbal commands.
Okay.
But how many horses are we talking about?
Enough for one of each of you.
Well, I mean...
Are there more than enough?
Oh, yeah.
We're talking about 10, 15, 20, 100?
You're thinking somewhere without just doing the quickest head count you can, somewhere in the ballpark of 30.
Okay.
So it's, if you want to attempt to do bit and bridle...
I don't think we have time for that.
Blankets, saddles, any of that stuff, I need to know because that'll require some additional rolls, but...
I don't think, one, that we have time for it, so if they're following me and following my lead, as soon as the paddock gate is open, right, as soon as, because we have to open it, right, because the horses can't jump the fence, otherwise it would be useless, right?
Oh, sufficiently panicked, they might.
Okay, well, so here's what I think that we should do. Get the paddock open. I know that one of these horses can be led well, but I don't know which horse it is specifically.
No, you do.
Okay, I do specifically.
Yeah.
Then I will scan the area for that particular horse and see if I can see it.
Yeah, you find them.
Okay, great. Then I will jump on his back.
Okay.
Bareback.
Give me Ranger plus... What are we going to call this? We'll make it smarts. Ranger plus smarts. Your best of 3d6.
And I have a terrible head for this. I don't know why. If I spend a bullet prior...
You got another d6 to the roll.
All right, I'm definitely going to spend a bullet prior for the extra
Okay,
D6.
so you get another d6. So what you're going to do is roll 3d6, pick the best 2, then roll another d6 and add it to it.
Okay, gotcha. Well, so that was poopy.
Okay, so that was Wayne and...
I waned it like so.
Wow.
Waynified. It was waned. All right. So what happens if I spend a second bullet?
Well, I'll stop you there.
All right.
You barely got it.
Okay.
All right, you got the 12 that was necessary to do this.
God, Waynified.
Yeah, you barely did.
I'd right to cut this fucking hand off, so I never roll with it again.
You got the 12, so that's
Right.
exactly what you needed to pull this off. Because you had sufficient information that this was an average task.
Right.
So you managed to grab the horse, you got a background, this kind of stuff. You hop the horse and managed to get it moving.
Okay.
And horses being pack animals.
Right.
Several of them begin following that other horse. And though it takes some coaxing and whatnot, because some of these people are not experienced horse riders, and even then they're used to having things like stirrups and saddle horns, especially those that are either shorter or not in the best physical shape,
Right.
or
What?
carrying a child, are not going to have the best
Wayne
time.
is with child.
Yeah, Wayne is with child.
So how do the unmounted horses react?
They're at this point agitated, but not completely freaked. Because
Is there? So we were going around. Is there another oil lamp?
Where? Like,
Well, I don't know if we were going through tents to get there.
We're kind
If
of going,
this
like,
is next to
the
a
back
house.
way
so you're looking
between
for one
tents and stuff.
outside of a tent?
No, even if there's... Because, like, these are all... I'm basically asking, what's this pen like? Is there a house right there or a tent right there that I can pop in and try to grab an oil lamp?
There's a shack right there that this individual lives in.
Okay.
Yes, you could duck in there and look for some kind of an oil lamp or something like that. And yes, you would find one.
Okay. I do that real quick. Everyone's kind of getting up on their horses. I get the lamp on and going, and I'm assuming there's piles of kind of hay in here.
Yes.
Hey.
Toss to start a fire.
Okay, so you're starting a second fire.
Now, is the paddock gate pointed in toward the camp?
No, it is. Well, there's two of them. One of them is toward the camp. One of them is away from the camp.
I
So
see Philip going, what he's doing, and I stop him, and I'm like, open the gate, pointed toward the camp. Stampede them.
I nod and do it. He figured out exactly what I was doing is, well, we're doing our horses. I want all the other horses to go nuts and basically keep us from being followed.
Right. So since Philip beat me to the punch, I shoulder my rifle and start moving my horse out of the paddock.
Okay, so it's a bit of a Keystone Cops moment because you've got people struggling to get on horses,
Right.
putting a kid on the horse, and then having to run to catch up with the horse, and then jump on it himself. Dr. Marshall having a real hell of a time of this because she is way too old for this shit. And
Is she complaining?
no,
Oh,
that's
really uncharacteristic.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
not to you guys.
Sure it's
That's a
Dr.
fucking
Marshall.
first.
Yeah, not to you guys. There might be a string of kind of she's fading, sort of just needling back and forth between prayers and profanities, but she does eventually get herself onto a horse.
I actually asked Casey if he can carry Leanne
He takes her from you
because
from,
I have one completely non-working arm right now.
from atop his own horse.
Yeah.
He just reaches over and takes her like so much non-weight rounding error of mass that she is him.
That's why I figured with a bad arm, I don't trust myself to control the horse and hold her.
And so, with your horses, for the most part, with very minimal leading, very minimal guidance, are following Songbird's horse. You guys begin rushing from the camp. There is as you guys are rushing from the camp, there is a patrol with its guns that is coming back this way, sees the fires, sees you guys. Oops. We'll use battle rules here. And is not so stupid as not to have some idea what's going on. Okay, so...
Do I see them?
Yes, there's a couple of them.
I lean over to Songbird. I go, do you know what faction they're with?
Songbird, if you want to either remember their faction or remember the call to tell them all is well, you're going against recollection now.
Okay.
Smarts plus the worst of 2d6.
All right. And if I bullet, I can add a die?
If you bullet it, you still pick the worst of 2d6, but then you may add a die post roll.
All right, I'm going to bullet it.
All right. All right, so you got a 3 plus an 8. That's not enough for anything. You got a 10.
Yeah.
All right. Now, you've got a couple choices. How are you going to handle this? Are you going to try and guess their faction? Are you going to try and emulate the call?
I'm going to try to emulate all clear.
Okay, you're going to try and emulate all clear. Let's see if they buy it.
Lee looks at you strangely. That's not what I asked.
I want to... Oh, come on. Give me a clear roll here. Okay. They, upon hearing your approximation of the call, but you can't quite remember exactly what it is, there's 3 of them. They're pulling a long arc, but they're unshouldering their guns, and they're coming back. They're making their way back toward you.
I ride up to him. I go, you guys keep going.
Okay, so you're riding directly towards them.
Mm-hmm.
All right, one of them has
Yeah, I've been trying to figure out their calls. Can I make an attempt at,
Oh my god!
while riding, make an attempt at making the...
Wayne, it is true. I'm going to give you a higher target number, but you're also Wayne,
Yep.
so...
Yeah.
So, give me a 2d6 plus your choice of social or intelligence.
2 on ours.
He just looks at you like, you're like, what faction are they with? You're like, like,
18.
Holy shit, Wayne.
oh wow.
You get it. The
You just had to be a little bit crazy for it to finally all kick. Suddenly all the pieces... Oh!
yeah, once you've got rabies, it makes sense.
Yeah!
And so the
crazy call.
one of them, I mean, as you're getting close to him, you see him. He's got a rifle where they've cut off and then sanded off the stock to make it a carbine.
Yep.
And he's getting ready. He's starting to take aim, and then you make that call. He makes a whooping noise back to you, and then they pull off and go back towards camp, towards the middle of camp, where the main fighting's occurring.
Lee stops his horse. He's like, what? What do you... Oh. And he just kind of gets back in line.
All right, then I start leading them away.
All right. So you guys, how far do you guys ride from their camp before you?
I don't think we stop.
Is just like run till the horses die, or this like?
Well, I think it's run until they become food.
These are pretty fresh horses, but we don't have saddles or anything.
Yes, that's
Right.
correct. It's actually hurting. Well, for those of you that still have feeling in your body, it's hurting your
But I'm down on the
pelvis.
inside.
We can go all night.
It's
I
pretty much
prefer
hurting you
bareback.
from the waist down a lot more than it's hurting the horses.
Right.
I think we're gonna go. I think we're gonna push further than we should, but we're not gonna run the horses into the ground. We need them.
Okay. Well, you guys got back pretty late in the day, so you could stop somewhere in the dark too.
Yeah.
For two reasons: one, you are in the woods. Seeing where you're going is somewhat difficult, and secondly, assuming you guys don't light a giant fire, you're a lot harder to spot in the foothills at night.
Do we know where we're going, or are we just running?
I'm assuming you're headed generally east, unless you told me otherwise.
I can get you where we want to go.
Okay. Well, once we get away,
Where are you going to?
I don't know. Do I have any idea what would be a safe route?
all right. Once we get away and no
Just
longer
not
see
there.
the lights
Right,
of the
so
camp, I'm
there
like,
you go. There's the answer to your question.
okay, where are we going?
Just not.
Let's say a little play that.
Where's the boat at?
The boat is in Cape Girardeau, which is southeast of here.
Well, Cape.
Dr. Marshall.
We can get to St. Louis faster on the horses than we can the boat.
Dr. Marshall right now is laying on her horse, gripping its neck for dear life, clearly out of her element. By the way, it's actually on her inner character write-up that she is terrified of and hates horses, as with saddles. So she's, you can see her, well, not to put too fine of a point on it, but about as wide as a black woman can get. And she's, as her horse, on its own accord, because she sure as hell is not in control of this situation, rides up into the, sort of around the group of you guys, and is riding a little bit too far away, making her call back, and then riding right through the middle of you. So her voice is up and down, and but as she rides through, she's like, "May I remind you, we have two people here whose brains are being rotted by a virus.
When she comes back again,
Someone
I
didn't
say
deliver on the cure in the East camp. It ain't going to be in Cape Girardeau."
lead poisoning is worse than what they have. We're not safe yet.
I didn't say I had the cure. I said I had a lead, possibly on what he was injected with prior to being exposed to the water.
Okay.
She comes back by again. It's the water, not the injection.
Okay. Time out. Lead poisoning. It's an analogy to getting shot.
Oh, clever.
Right?
I got
right?
it. I
Yeah,
got you.
got
I
you.
see what
Okay.
you're doing.
So we need to leave here, which was great. I mean, we ran away. Great. Now we need to go somewhere.
St. Louis.
Too far away, but I like how you think.
What about the
Wherever-
farm?
Might be the first place they look, depending on who wins the fight at the thing.
Did you mention Cape in character?
Yes.
Which direction is Cape?
I don't know. I don't even know where the hell I'm at.
Which direction is Cape?
Okay.
They'll be in where Cape is.
Yeah.
It's part of your merchanting thing. I won't even make your roll. You know exactly where Cape is.
I give the general direction from where we're at to where
All
I
right.
think it is.
Am I anywhere close to heading that direction?
I mean, I'm assuming you're headed generally east, so
Right.
yes.
So then
The question is whether you go. Well, I mean, you could theoretically go any of the 360 degrees. Broadly speaking, the question is: do you go northeast to St. Louis or southeast to Cape?
southeast to Cape.
Let's get to the boats.
That is the
Get
direction.
to our
I take.
friends. Get to civilization. Get some food. Figure some stuff out.
We have
Cape is
supplies on
closer.
the boat.
And we can take the boat back to St. Louis, or we can do any number of things.
The boat will be slow going upriver,
That's fine.
I look at the dock and go,
but the GCs will go faster than these horses.
Koresh was really old and he looked good. So don't worry, we're good.
As she rides by again, she grabs the mane of your horse, and
Hey.
so your horse is now following hers on its orbit. Lee, listen to me. This virus is progressing, and I don't know exactly what it is apart from some descendant of rabies, and I don't know how fast it's going to progress, but rabies progresses quickly. We don't have days to spare. Whatever move we make here, we are gambling it all on that location having some kind of treatment.
How many? I kind of like try and stop her horse and my. I'm like, from where we're at right now, knowing that we are in the middle of the wilderness. How many days away is St. Louis? Anybody? Anybody?
Can I ranger it? Do I have an idea at all?
What did you? Yes. Yeah. I'll give you a ranger on that against.
God, my rolling tonight is so poopy. 11.
What about my scouting?
Give me a scouting check. Yeah, scouting plus smarts.
I would think we're probably slower on these horses with saddles and
Do I
things.
keep all three or just two?
2 of the 3, the best 2.
Okay.
Unless you want the worst 2.
So that would be 15.
You're dumb.
You are about the same distance from each. Both of them are going to be about, depending on how hard you push these horses, 5 to 7 days away.
I go, about 6 days each way. Doesn't matter. We're right in the middle.
Did they have 6 days?
I don't know.
I'm fairly certain.
So if we get to Cape, 6 days, and then it's probably going to be another week to 2 weeks back up the river on the boats. We can go to St. Louis. We can get there, do the thing, 6 days, and hire a boat to get back or do whatever the hell we want. Lee looks right at Songbird. Looks her right in
How
the
long
eyes.
do we think it would take boat-wise to get from Cape to St. Louis? Because that's going upriver, and that's
Yeah.
ridiculously slow.
Going upriver, I'd have to actually pull out a map to do the math, which I do have the maps to do. I will tell you, it will be insanely slow because going upriver, you're moving at best 1 to 2 miles an hour.
The answer
and
is
only a
weeks,
few
I
hours
think.
a day.
Okay.
It's a long time.
So Lee looks right at Songbird and says, our best play is St. Louis. And it's our best play for 2 reasons. It's closer. And they think we'll go for the boats. So when we look for us, they will head towards Cape and not St. Louis.
We cannot return to St. Louis.
Why not?
Because if you go to St. Louis, the rat and the leopard will win.
Yeah, we can't have that.
What the hell are you talking about?
I'm talking about the rat man.
Okay,
He's
who's
dead.
the leopard?
If you go back to St. Louis, his plan will succeed. The leopard was our superior.
You worked with the rat man.
It's not rat man, it's just rat. We were named after animals. Songbird, rat, leopard.
Do you have the space medicine?
Stop and get off my horse begrudgingly, and she looks very agitated. And I pull a box that looks just like the rat man's box with a pneumatic injector.
By the way, Patreon people, you're welcome.
And
This is what they voted for.
I pass. Oh, sorry.
They voted for the addition of manpower should be someone from the Ratman's organization.
So
Thanks, dicks.
I pass. Where's all my goddamn? Okay, I pass the pneumatic injector kit to Dr. Marshall. I assume.
You assume, and I don't know.
Okay.
I've already looked at this from the Rat Man himself, and I don't know.
Is it the same bottle? Is it the same? Is it the same? Is it the same? Fuck! Is it the same medicine?
She opens it up and holds the vial up to what little light there is available, and as best I recall, the names that were on it, yeah, it's the same thing.
Is there only one dose? I asked her that.
Dan,
There.
Lee jumps off of his horse
So
and he feeds it an apple and he starts brushing his horse.
Okay.
out of character,
Lee is
the
trying
answer
to
to
make
his question
friends
is
with his
yes.
horse.
Only one dose?
Okay. No, I will take that into account.
Okay.
Because horses are highly social animals.
Yep.
Even non-GC, this isn't a GC, but they're still highly social animals.
I look at, if that medicine is nanobots, like you said it might be, could it fix my arm? Could it slow this down?
Okay, let's start with the ifs here. If this is some kind of regenerative nanomedicine, which was a technology that was being perfected pre-war, if that is what this is, then it would have regenerative effect on tissue. It could theoretically repair your arm the same way I'm going to assume a different dose repaired his leg.
What
It
about
could
brain?
it could repair what damage there is to your nervous system and reverse the damage for a time. But if that virus is still active in your system, eventually it's like trying to fix something while someone else is trying to break it. It's like trying to clean up a mess while someone else is making one. Eventually, it's going to stop doing what it does.
Could it give us more time so we can make it to St. Louis?
Could it give you more? Could, and I can't stress that word enough, could it give you more time? Yes. Enough time to make it to St. Louis? I don't know. You're adding an if on top of an if.
I'm willing to risk it. He already has a dose of it in it. Maybe it's slowing it down for him. I feel this coming on.
As soon as he says
By the
that,
way, a GM reminder, what you took off the Rat Man, I believe, had 3 doses. Modemar took 1. Cyrus Weiss took 1. There is a third one left. So you do have 2 doses. You do have 2 doses total.
That's a Viagra vial, though.
That's true. All that does is create priapism. It doesn't
Right.
cure it.
No.
It creates it. It was for control.
12 hours.
It was for control groups in
Okay.
a treatment for
In that case-
priapism.
Right.
In that case, let me rewind just a bit.
They call
'Cause
it the club.
I said, in that case, let me rewind a bit because Wayne didn't know that we had another dose.
Yes, you do have 2 doses total.
We have 2 doses. This is our only chance. I don't think I can make it 7 days to get to St. Louis.
Fine. We inject then we play the safe bet. We inject the doses, hope it's repairing the damage the virus is creating, and we go to St. Louis and we get the virus treated.
Can you get us to St. Louis?
I mean, northeast until we hit a patrol or a caravan and get the details from there.
There's another way.
Why does us going to St. Louis make the rat win?
I don't know. I just know.
Because we're only going to be cured. We're not.
Yeah.
Modemar looks off like into space and goes, "What? Joe says we can't go to St. Louis.
Jesus.
He says if we go to St. Louis and the ISS go to Cape, we need to go warn Cape."
That does really sound like something Joe would say.
And then I look in space and go, "You happy now?"
There is a potential third option. We go to Cape. They have trucks that run on gas. We could obtain a truck and drive to St. Louis. And Lee knows this because he studies economics and he understands the trade routes and how trade moves.
No, and you're not wrong.
Yeah.
Casey gives you and you alone a look and then real quickly goes back to his poker face.
I can look at Dr. Marshall. I put my arm out. Give me a dose.
Okay. She takes the pneumatic injector. She takes the pneumatic injector that she has,
And I give her the bad arm.
and well, I assume so.
Yeah.
I mean, unless you really want your healthy arm to look like Quagmire's after he discovers porn. For anyone who didn't see that episode of Family Guy, he walks out with one arm like totally steroidally jacked, and the other arm is atrophied. She takes the pneumatic injector and the dose that she has left over from the Rat Man, and she injects your injured arm with it.
Okay.
She says, I have some reason to believe your arm will start to get better.
I know this is all outside of what you're used to dealing with, but this is
Phil,
my best shot.
well, yes, for the arm. Well, there's still something left of you to talk to. I need you to understand something. When the day comes, which could be tomorrow, that you are too far gone to even ask for a cure, you won't know you have a condition to be cured. You understand that even the understanding that you are sick is something that may not be a truth that sticks with you.
I look her dead in the eyes. I ask Lee if that moment comes to take me out so I don't become like Ma Carver. And I look right in Lee's eyes just to see if he makes eye contact.
Lee continues brushing his horse.
I'm a doctor.
I look over to
He's
Casey.
a scholar. We're not killers.
Casey, I need a favor.
I already promised Lee I'd knock you unconscious and send you into the hills as a crazy hermit.
If you want somebody to shoot you when you become a fucking nutter, I'll do it.
I look at you. Make sure the little girl doesn't see it. Make sure she doesn't know. Thank you. Now let's try to make that not happen.
On one condition,
What's that?
we're not going to St. Louis.
There is no cure for this in Cape. Even if they have the trucks he thinks they have.
They do.
Okay, fine, they have trucks. They don't have a gene lab.
And it is 5 or so days to Cape. And the Carver clan, whatever faction wins, is going to figure out that we are probably going to go to Cape. Cape's going to get attacked, guys. I'm going to tell you that right now. When they sort that out, they want him back. They want our heads on pikes. Cape is going to burn.
Look, where
Yak wants Cape attacked anyway, so if he's alive, that's going to be the first thing he wants to do.
wait. All right, so then we need to warn them. Where are Yak's goggles? I mean, Rat's goggles. Yeah, that was a player error. Where are Rat's goggles?
Did I take them?
No, that out of character. They got destroyed from the gunshot when Job split his melon.
Oh, yeah. Lee
Yeah.
looked at them, and then
Yeah.
they're just toast. They're toast.
Where-
They're gone. Joe shot him in the face. Through the goggles. This is actually a really nice shot.
It was beautiful.
They damn it.
Janet.
Look, do we have a deal?
We have to go to St. Louis. We can go to St. Louis and still find a way to stop the rat's plan.
You cannot. You cannot.
We can.
Look at it this way. We've spent the past month dancing around and being manipulated by the Rat Man. Every move we make was a move to try to outmaneuver him, or it was a move that he manipulated.
He didn't expect to be shot in the face.
And from there, we gained freedom. I don't know what his plans are. We can't keep being manipulated by him after he's dead.
But we're okay with being manipulated by one of his people.
She doesn't want us to go to St. Louis. We
I'm-
need to go to St.
Look,
Louis.
I'm not his people.
You You were named after an animal.
We look, everybody. I'm not.
We need to move.
I'm not his people.
We need to move.
Fine. And so between if Motomar is going to take you to St. Louis, fine. If I'm going to take you to Cape, fine.
No,
But you need to decide.
I'm going where Joe wants us to go.
Where does Joe want us to go?
To Cape. To Warren.
Great. Then why don't you and Joe and I lead everybody else to Cape?
I look over your shoulder. Yeah, that's good.
All right. I start.
I'm going to try something. Motomar, mind if I have a conversation with Joe real quick?
Go right ahead.
Casey, from kind of where he's sitting back on his horse, a songbird.
Yes.
You said you had another dose of that medication.
Well, I gave it to the doctor, but yes.
Oh, did you? Okay.
Yeah.
GM error. I didn't catch that. Okay. Then, Dr. Marshall also injects Motomar. Same solution.
Nice.
So I want to try to roll my social against
Yeah.
crazy Motomar. I'm going to have a conversation with Joe, which Lee cannot see, where Lee walks, like Lee does, walks Joe down the path to a conclusion that Lee wants.
Okay. Here's how we're going to do this.
Okay.
Lee, you're going to talk.
Mhm.
When I point to Motomar, Eric's mind gets to create the lines for Joe. When I point to Brodor creates the lines for Joe.
Okay.
As accurately as you can, okay?
Right.
So because what we're going to do here is keep in mind the Joe you're talking to is half of real memories and half of Motomar's
Crazy.
degrading and already, shall we say, burdened mind. Even before the
overly
rabies.
taxed.
Yes. So, all right. So we're going to start with Brodor goes first. So Lee, what is it you say to Joe?
Question before you. Does Motomar speak out loud all the words that Joe would be speaking? Or is he...
I don't believe he is. I believe he's merely imagining
Right.
the response.
Okay.
So this is all going on in Motomar's head.
Yeah, this conversation that the listeners hear is what is going on in Motomar's
Precisely.
head. Lee might not even have said any of this.
Yep.
This is all
Or
in
some
his
of
mind.
it, or
Okay.
or maybe all of it. Who
Maybe all
knows?
of it.
All right.
All right, Joe. We have a couple of decisions to make here. What do you want to do?
Brodor.
The thing is, so what do I want to do?
Yeah. You're the captain.
We have to go to Cape. We have to warn them. If we truly believe that the Ists are coming and that the Ists are going to attack, then Motomar and Philip both have to be willing to set aside their own lives. I have to set aside my life. We have to warn those people. We have to warn that community, because it's our fault that the Ists are coming.
Did you
But
understand?
Leanne.
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 it's our fault that the Ists are going to go there. But more importantly, it's the right thing to do.
It is the right thing to do. And you are right about that. And as he says this, he walks over to Casey and lifts his hands up and takes Leanne down.
Oh, they're going to try to take
No,
Casey.
no,
And I'm
no,
like,
no.
son, you are not that strong.
He takes Leanne, who's probably like passing out, and comes over and just kind of strokes her hair and like, yeah, I do see the honor in potentially Philip laying down his
Right.
life and potentially Motomar laying down his life,
Right.
and even myself and Dr. Marshall and Casey laying down their life, because we have to go through Carver country to get to Cape, and they are looking for us, even to the point to where they'll be waiting for us at Cape. And he's kind of, and I think all of us, and he looks right at Leanne, are willing to lay down their life.
Eric. No, this is as Joe.
Oh no,
Okay,
that was
yeah,
that was my Joe side.
Okay, that's your side. Okay.
What are you trying to say, Lee?
I'm just saying that, death and honor, they're not necessarily good things. Sometimes you have to make a hard decision to make the right decision, and kind of taps her nose and smiles and she giggles. It's very easy to lay down your life, and it's very easy to lay down other people's lives who follow you. Cape is not defenseless. Cape is not like Herman. It's not small.
Lee, I've had enough of this.
Pause, Brodor.
I am the captain. You insist on telling me that I'm the captain. You will do as, and then back to Motomar.
Eric.
As you're told.
You are the captain. You are in charge. And I don't dispute that in any way. I just want to make sure you understand. And he goes over and hands Leanne to Motomar. I just want to make sure you understand what will happen with the decisions you make. And I want to make sure that you understand that there's multiple ways of dealing with this. The Carver clan has been here for a long time. I mean, it's had 2 generations of leadership. They've been doing horrible things. If these moon people, or whoever these rat men are, and he looks at Songbird and kind of gives a weird look at her as he talks to himself and orates to himself. Whoever these people are, they are manipulating a large groups of people. They manipulated the Carver clan. They manipulated St. Louis. They manipulated us and Herman. One of the things that we could do is go to St. Louis. We can tell them what we've found. Let them defend against that. We can tell them what we've found with the Carver clan and about how they are no longer sleeping and hurting those around them, but now they are on the warpath. And St. Louis can send an army to crush them while Cape defends itself, and we can save Motomar, and he looks at Motomar, and Philip. We can save them.
Brodor.
Lee, you're right. We can save them. Oh, we can save all the people of Cape. Look, I don't know who Songbird is. I don't know why she's so concerned about us going back to St. Louis. But regardless, even if she wasn't here, going to Cape would be the right thing to do. You're always telling me you're the captain, you're the captain, you're the captain, but you're always whispering in my ear wanting me to make a decision, but you never have the stones to make a decision yourself. I've made the decision. This conversation is over. This conversation is over. You have your orders.
Joe, I have told you one overriding thing above all else.
If I was really here, I would punch you so hard in the mouth.
Do the most amount of good for the most amount of people.
And that is the decision that I have made.
It is not.
Eric.
You're so mad at Philip, but you're really mad at yourself.
Nut shot.
Boom!
We have to go north. We have to go to St. Louis. Cape can defend itself. but it cannot defend itself against sustained attacks again and again and again. Only St. Louis has the military might to actually come down and destroy the clan.
I'm going to jump in as Songbird. And so again, this is not Joe, this is Songbird.
Mhm.
I have no concept about what lunacy that you're engaged in. But what I do know is that the zoo, that rat and our superior leopard and whatever animal was above him want you in St. Louis. Whatever it is that they're trying to accomplish succeeds if you are in St. Louis. Now, I cannot for the life of me remember why, but I know in my bones it's true. And if you're going to go to St. Louis, I will not help you. I'll go my own goddamn way. And then I pull out a pristine pair of rubber, wicked, high-tech goggles that have the red lenses. And I don't put them over my eyes, but I rest them on top of my head, and I don't have them turned on. And I can see in the dark. So if you guys want to go back to St. Louis, you go to St. Louis. But know two things. You're no safer going that direction than you are going the direction that I want to take you. And if you go to St. Louis, whatever scheme they were planning will succeed.
I believe so, yeah. You might have to
As Joe,
hold the lever to coax it, but yeah, it does work, I believe.
Yeah, yank that lever, Wayne.
Yeah.
besides, St. Louis is in a shambles. They're on the verge of civil war already. How are we going to organize them? How are we going to get them to send their army to down south if they're having to worry about their own house?
I have a plan for that.
There's always a plan.
We get you and Philip to St. Louis. He actually messes that up. He does say that because he's looking at Motobar. We get you and Philip to St. Louis. We get you the cure. And then I talk to the overseers. I can get in to see them. They'll listen to me.
Brodor.
But you're never willing to listen to me. You're never willing to accept the decision that I make. You push and you push and you push for me to decide, and when it's the decision that you don't like, you push further until I change my mind. You know what? Fuck you. You make the decision. You're the captain now.
That's not going to make Emily very happy.
That's not going to make Emily happy.
Oh, Joe just made Lee captain.
This may or may not be news to you. I'll let you decide.
I reach into the bag and I take out Martha and I put it on Lee's head.
Lee immediately takes it off.
Precious.
He looks at Philip and goes, "Don't do that."
You don't want me wearing it any more than I want to wear it.
I'm going to hit the head, and honestly, if it comes back to me, as Joe, I literally have nothing else to say.
Okay. Assume you mean Lee, but right.
I mean, yes, Lee, that's what I meant.
If we go to St. Louis and I go in to talk to the overseers, I might not come back. So I don't exactly want to go to St. Louis.
When we left St. Louis was in shambles and falling apart. It was falling apart because it was manipulated. I don't like what I saw in St. Louis, but we have proof that they were manipulated now. We go back with this. They come together.
We save you and Philip. We can unite St. Louis. We can come back and crush the Carvers. Cape can defend itself.
Rat certainly didn't seem to want St. Louis united.
Well, I look at the hat and I say, he said put it on. You're making the call. If that's what you want.
I
Last
looked up at
time I
him.
put something on my head, it gave me some sort of authority. I lost a piece of myself. I'm not putting that on.
That's the definition of authority. You lose a piece of yourself because you put others above yourself. I may not be in completely sane mind right now, Lee, but you and I, remember what I said? I didn't know where you stood because you talk to everybody like they're your best friend. Well, you don't want to make a decision. You're the only one of us right now in a sane mind to make decisions. I look over at Modamar, and the empty space next to him. Sounds like you're being told that it's time for you to step up and make some.
Excuse me, I'm perfectly lucid, and I've already made a suggestion that Modamar agrees with. And apparently so does your friend Joe.
Joe is dead.
I know.
He's right there.
Rat obviously didn't want St. Louis united. Everything he was doing was to take it apart. He didn't want to be dead. He's dead. We go to St. Louis. We go to St. Louis to break up what he had planned.
His superiors are not dead,
True.
and his death is immaterial to them and their plans.
Casey dismounts his horse, walks over to Lee, like right up to him, and then turns to everyone and says, "There's a third option. It's probably the most dangerous of all of them, but I don't know. Maybe it's a compromise you guys made. Can I see Maul's book?"
He takes it out, hands it over.
He flips through it until he finds the page with the picture of her in the hospital bed. After she got infected, she was treated somewhere. He points that picture of her in the hospital bed. That's got to be somewhere.
Might be abandoned, falling apart.
Closest big city that would have had a hospital would have been Cape.
Songbird.
Mm-hmm.
It's actually,
Do I have a moment of true lucidity?
there's something, yes, I'm gonna,
There's something crawling up your leg.
Ah! I hate that. No, not bugs. Creepy. Yucky.
You know, there's a lot of tarantulas in there.
Now my skin is crawling. Yucky.
I went hiking in a park, and there was a sign up that gave tarantula warnings because they were breeding.
really?
Yeah, you would walk along the path, and you'd see these big-ass tarantulas skittering across it.
That is awful.
That's
Pretty
kind of
cool.
weird.
They
But...
were-
And then you burn down the forest.
No, we like the
Well,
forest.
as the tarantulas, generally speaking, it's the urticating hairs you have to watch out
Those
for.
were the notes that he
Okay.
passed.
So, Brodor, the place going off the picture book that Ma Carver, back when she was Jacqueline, so back in her prior life, she
Interesting.
was out of Salem, Missouri. That's likely where she was treated.
Okay, so how far is that from Cape?
Well, it's actually quite a bit closer to where you are than any of those are.
Okay.
Probably within 1 to 2 days. The danger is, guess what you have to ride past to get there?
Ists?
Yeah. You'd have to pass back by or around their camp to get there.
All right.
But that is likely where she was being treated. Now, did they have a treatment, and did that treatment survive to the current day is an open question. But
She's crazy now.
That
So.
they the 1692 the witch trials. What was the
Salem.
Thank you. There's a Salem in Missouri, and there's a hospital there. There's a hospital there, and we're not far from there. We're much closer to there than we are to St. Louis or Cape.
Philip, is Salem, Missouri populated at all?
Salem, Missouri sits within Ist country. You'd have to go back past the Ist camp to get to it.
It's in Ist country. If it's populated, people don't talk to anyone outside of it.
On the upside, the fact that nobody lives in there means that it's probably not been cleaned out by anyone that would actually appreciate the value of what's in it.
So, look, between it, Casey's right. It's everybody gets some degree of what they want. It's a good short-term solution. Dr. Marshall gets the potential facility and potentially the medications or chemicals that she would need to help them.
That's slim.
We don't go to St. Louis, and you don't have to worry about endangering yourself going to Cape.
Salem's in Ist country. Danger's the same.
We're in Ist country.
Yeah.
Either way we go, we're in Ist country.
I'd like to leave Ist country.
So, well, let's go to that hospital since it's closer than either of our destinations. And if it's an area that is that the Ists, even though it's in Ist country, if it's not populated, then it's not populated. We're far less likely to run into Ists there.
But if it's not populated, that means no one's been tending the hospital. It means the building is disintegrated.
All right. I turn to Dr. Marshall. Dr. Marshall, why don't we take you to that hospital?
Because I'm not the one with the disease. You need to take these two to that hospital. And there's something usable there.
But they need a doctor.
Okay, so yeah, you can take me with them to that hospital, and we can hope there's something usable there.
Right. Or we can go back to St. Louis.
Where there is a gene lab.
And hope that there is something usable there.
There is.
Well, at least there's a better chance.
Right. I'll grant that. There's a substantially better chance.
Will they let us use it?
I can probably find somebody there that owes me a favor.
I'm sure I know somebody. We can figure it out when we get there.
Right.
Fine. If this group has no leader, then why not just a simple straight up and down vote? I think we can all agree probably the worst thing we can do is sit here until the Ists look, one of those factions is going to win, or they're going to split into two groups, or somehow that's going to resolve itself, and then they're going to be back out on the prowl.
Right. And if the pro Modamar faction wins, they will be very displeased that Modamar has abandoned them.
That's the problem.
And
they're
if
both pro Modamar factions. Both factions need Modamar for their legitimacy.
And they'll probably blame us for kidnapping their leader. Heads on pikes.
Because one of them is looking to him to be the leader. The other sees him as the heir to a dynasty. Both of them need Modamar. No matter who wins, they come for him.
Well, look.
So why don't we just do a simple straight up and down vote?
I know that you people don't know me, and I know that you don't have any care for my concerns. But I'm telling you, if you go to St. Louis, you are going to ruin everything that I have fought for a very long time, and you will ensure the success of the people for whom I used to work.
If we decide to go to St. Louis, will you shoot us?
I don't know, Lee. What's the right answer here?
Casey turns around from where he's saying, says, how about the truth?
No. Of course I wouldn't shoot you. Jesus Christ.
He turns back to Lee and shrugs.
No, I wouldn't shoot you. I would go with you.
Let's vote.
All right. This is Dr. Marshall says, here's how we're going to vote. You can vote yes for as many options as you want. The one that has the most yes votes is the one that we do. So the 3 options are going to be St. Louis, Salem District General Hospital, and Cape Girardeau. Does anyone else have any options they want to put on the table before we vote? No? Okay. The vote is yes for as many as you want.
We go back to the ISTs, we give them their leader, and then we have free reign to go back to Salem or to St. Louis or to Cape.
It's called We Do What We Want.
I'm voting no on that one.
I was kidding.
All right. Yes or no on St. Louis?
Yes.
Yes.
No.
No.
3 yeses on St. Louis.
Joe says no, too.
We'll keep that in mind as a tiebreaker. Cape Girardeau.
No.
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 Yes.
Yes.
Okay. 2 yeses on Cape Girardeau. Salem.
No.
No.
Yes.
Yes.
I look at her. Casey didn't vote.
Casey realized I'm not voting on this.
I look at her. You didn't vote.
On the last one, no. All right, fine. Salem is better than Cape Girardeau, but that now leaves us with Cape Girardeau versus St. Louis, and we have a tie on the number of yeses. If we go to Salem, I think, can we all agree that's probably going to be a really violent trip?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Casey breaks the tie. Casey, you pick which one we do. I literally don't know what Casey would pick. St. Louis, it's a known quantity.
We should leave right now. He gets on his horse.
Bird girl. Look. As someone who spent most of his life playing into other people's plans, sometimes it's not about beating the plans that they have right then and there. It's about finding the circumstance after circumstance after circumstance that may be 10 steps down from what they planned. The things they couldn't plan for. And that's where you find your freedom.
You have no idea who these people are.
No, but I have every idea what it means to wear a collar and to spend your entire life in the shadow of a past where people did nothing but tag you along by that collar.
These...
Right? You think right? He takes off his shirt and turns around and shows you the almost but not quite pustulently infected implants that cut through his tissue, and going by the depth, you know they have to touch bone if not organ, and shows you these hooks and these I don't know how to describe them, these kind of these bars that hooks would go onto on his back and some of them on his chest. He said, I know what it means to be led around by other people. I know it all too damn well. And I know that there also comes a point where the best way to beat him is to run right at him. Because they're convinced you're too weak to walk into whatever it is they've set for you and to walk out alive.
Yeah. Well, you've made your decision, so what I think at this point is moot.
No. If you're going to walk with us, I need you to understand something. He puts the shirt back on. We have made a decision. Now, you may not have agreed with that decision, but if you are going to walk with us, we work as a team. And that's been true all the way back, long time. Lee and I worked as a team to get ourselves out from somebody's leash. Modemar and Philip and Joe and this Pops guy they're always quoting who seems to have a quote for everything, they work together to survive an incredibly hostile environment and to make a living out of it. Now, people didn't always agree 100%. People almost never do. Hell, I don't know about you, but I hardly ever agree with myself, much less anyone else.
Pops had a saying for this.
Pops didn't stop with his damn sayings. No.
Pops had a good saying for this.
God damn it.
You keep your friends closer, you shit in the next stall with your enemies.
You know what? I think at this point, Pops has become such an apocryphal person to our lives that he probably could have said or not said anything. I think the entire works of Shakespeare were Pops. But you may have been outvoted, but it is not somebody else. We decided if you're going to walk with us, you made yourself a part of that group.
You believe they can be beaten, otherwise you wouldn't have a problem with us going here. If they can be beaten, then they can be beaten whether we're in St. Louis or not.
And we're going to need your skills there to make sure we pull off the best beating that we can give them, not sexual, and I'm sure Pops had a saying for that too.
I do not dispute that I will be an asset to you. And I certainly concede that you would be assets to me. However, we are making a tremendous mistake if we march back into St. Louis.
And you know what? The part of that sentence I'm most concerned with is not the mistake. It's the we. Do you believe that part of the sentence as much as you believe the second part of the sentence?
I do.
Then let's go make that mistake. But in the process, let's get these two gentlemen cured of whatever's rotting their brain. And then let's make the most colossal fuck up this land has seen since a whole bunch of mushroom clouds appeared over it.
Right. Well, Philip, we're going to St. Louis, so our deal is off. You turn mad as a hatter, I will not lift a finger.
I understand.
I got you.
I look over. Same for you.
Are you going to be able to tell?
Not even slightly. And he's dead serious when he looks her in the eyes.
I should probably get going soon.
Okay, so at that, you guys hop your horses and begin the trek to St. Louis.
That was a tense fucking game. That was tense.
Post-game, all right, so let me get your guys' general reactions first. So there's one scene in particular I got to talk about. I think you guys know which one it's going to be.
When Modemar was taking a poop.
Yes, that's the one.
That was tense.
When he was showing and pooping at the same time with the poor man's Blumpkin. Yeah.
So early in the game, I passed. I passed a few notes here.
Yeah.
One of the early in the game, I passed Joe a note that said specifically, "OMG, if you're a songbird, that is so awesome." And I stand by that. I was incredibly excited when I found out that was who he was playing.
Songbird was going to be in the game any way you crack it, because when I put it to the Patreon vote, or patreon.com/feartheboot, all one word, if you want to get in on that, or check the links that abound, both on YouTube and on the site you're listening to this on for that. But,
What? We're on YouTube?
yeah, believe that one or not. But,
comment, and subscribe. Smash that like button, guys. Hey, guys. We do enough of that bullshit.
I got a different one from today, but I can't give it to you guys because I was watching somebody have a meltdown, and wow, they got colorful. But anyway, it was a YouTube thing. We're not YouTube people, so we don't have those meltdowns, I guess. But anyway, when I put a vote to them, because when you guys got that uptick in manpower, I was let them vote. And I said, who do you guys want? Give me some ideas. And people posted their various ideas. And then I took all those and put them in a poll and said, okay, what's it going to be? And the winning vote was someone from the Ratman's organization.
Nice.
And so Songbird was going to become a recurring character any way you cracked it. I had not planned, of course, for Joe to get killed and or for Brodor to take over Songbird. In fact, when Joe got killed, I pitched a few character ideas to Brodor, and Songbird was the one he latched on.
Yeah, I really did gravitate
So
to
what were some of the characters you pitched?
I don't know if
I gave
one of them. I don't think you should tell them.
Well, the ones that are obvious are, of course, some of the existent NPCs. I gave him the option if he could play Alejandro, he could play Casey.
Right.
I think it would have been more difficult and would take a lot more coaching because her plot has yet to really be dealt with, but Amelie's an option.
Yeah, and I thought hard about
hard to insert at this point in the game.
And I gave him the option, of course, any of the 5 crew members that have never been named or given any description, he could become one of them. There were a couple individuals that I think would be spoilery for me to tell you who they were, but I told him these individuals are out there and paying attention and could become more front and center. The people that were in the Patreon vote, some of them I remember, some of them I don't without looking at the Patreon site. But like, for example, one of the suggestions was that Cyrus, so to speak, drinks the Kool-Aid, that he more genuinely joins you guys. That was one of the possibilities. I think Wayne's, I forget the guy's name, but Wayne's...
James Weldon?
Yeah, James Weldon, that he becomes more genuinely invested in your cause was one of the things that got voted on. I don't remember all of them, but there were a bunch of them out there. And the more people or the more firepower that was involved, the less loyal they were going to be or the less bought in they were going to be. So the scene I got to talk about, because I have never done this before, is playing out someone's... Because I've had characters before who had delusions that were caused either by insanity or by the manipulation of an outside force. So fantasy, a spell, science fiction, some psychic alien screwing with her head. But it's always been GM controlled. This is the first time I have ever created two things. One, a completely unreliable narration. How much of that scene occurred purely in Modamar's head versus was said by Lee versus was said at all, right? How much of that objectively occurred? I couldn't tell you. Even as someone who GM'd that, I could not tell you how much of that actually occurred. And then secondly, to not only do it, but to do it by... I mean, it was an on-the-spot decision. Obviously, I had no idea that it was going to go this route.
Oh, yeah, there was no note that said, you see Joe's body.
Yeah, and this
that was entirely you?
Yeah.
That is awesome, man.
There was nothing in my notes that said this is going to occur. I had no idea he was going to start, because the only delusions...
That was exceedingly difficult for Lee.
The delusions he's seen thus far, he being Modamar, Joe's not been one of them. Yeah. So I did have some little tidbits planned if I needed or wanted to nudge you with a delusion, but it was never going to be Joe. It was going to be somebody else. But to waffle back and forth between real memories of Joe versus his interpretation of Joe by virtue of passing the character between two people, while a Lee who may or may not have been real to any degree talked to it. I have never done anything close to that. I have never seen anything close to that in a role-playing game before. And I'm sure somebody's done it, right? I'm sure I'm not the first to invent this. But holy shit, that was unique.
It was
That's fun.
It was really cool. And the thing that I really enjoyed about it was how close Eric's interpretation of Joe was to my interpretation of Joe. Or I should say, more importantly, the delusional Modamar's interpretation of Joe was to my actual, what I thought Joe would really say.
He was, and he struck me very much as what Joe would be like post-dying and finally having nothing to lose by being honest.
Yeah, like both versions of Joe were not afraid to call Lee out on his bullshit.
Right.
I mean, it's one thing when Joe was alive, he would get frustrated and flustered.
Right.
but he wouldn't actually challenge Lee.
Right.
He would.
Lee was challenged everywhere he turned this session.
Yeah.
Also, speaking of Joe, you should put Martha on your character sheet now, since now you have her.
I don't know if that was a tough thing for Lee when you did that.
Oh, I know.
Because the whole thing, like he hinted at with the mask, it's like the last time that he had something on his head that gave him power and authority was a bad thing.
If Lee did not keep it, like as in you just tried to hand it off, Casey would have taken it from you. He is not wearing it.
Sure.
But if you want it to be in his inventory, we can put it in his inventory. Because he was standing right there, and if you just tried to pass it off, he would have taken it. Not worn it, but just taken it rather than leave it behind.
Yeah.
Because he sees the value in it, even though he no more than you wants to wear it.
Yeah. I don't know yet.
I think Lee would keep it, but just because
he would keep it, but he wouldn't acknowledge its existence.
Right.
Because Lee has his mask on his person right now.
Yeah,
and he hates it.
Philip refused to wear it.
Yeah.
You know, he took it off right away, put it in the bag. He wasn't going to wear the hat.
Yeah.
And
Put that shit on Emily.
Oh, I'm telling you, you guys get back to the boat and no one's taking over the captaincy.
Well,
Guess who's running that boat now?
You know, getting back to the Joe thing, what Modemar hit Lee with, you're just when you say you were angry at Philip,
oh, that was
just angry at yourself.
That was
and
a
it was
great.
like,
That was amazing.
fuck.
Well, the thing about Modemar is Modemar doesn't really lie. He doesn't, he's pretty honest with everything that he says. So he was just filtering that through Joe.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it was
awesome.
You know, I thought a lot about
It actually changed Lee's opinion of Modemar because Lee understood. Thank you. Lee understands that he sees Modemar as like dumb as a brick.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why he's so honest, is because he can't process the lie. But when he did that through the voice of Joe, it was a twofold hit. One was the hit itself of, oh shit, he's right, I don't want to deal with that.
Yep.
And then the other one was, how did he figure that out? Because that's why Lee talked to Modemar about his feelings at the beginning of the game. Because he didn't think Modemar would understand it.
Right, because he could vent and not be judged.
It's like confession.
Right.
And it's like confessing to a wall.
Well, it's just what they call rubber ducking.
Yeah.
Where you understand yourself. That it came from a guy, and it started with computer programming, where he realized that he got his best perspective on his problems by trying to explain them to a literal rubber duck that was sitting on his desk, and in doing so, realized it gave him perspective. Because in the process of trying to explain it at the layman's level to an imagined person, which was represented by a physical rubber duck, he had to take the problem down to its bolts and then saw where his mistakes were. And since then, they've called it rubber ducking. And I've done that a few times where I've had a problem at work, and I've grabbed somebody at work that I know pretty well. Like, I'll grab somebody like my buddy Hank and be like, Hank, come in here. You're not going to understand a word I'm about to say, but I just need you to sit there and nod until I'm done. And I've just explained the problem.
Sounds like my wedding night.
And I've been like, Hank, that's it. And he's like, I don't know what just occurred here. And
Hank, you're doing it. But that is exactly what Lee did. And then throwing crazy Modemar, putting that out again, Lee is like, he needs to realign. He knows he needs to realign his view of Modemar.
Well, and one of the things that was interesting for me is I came in knowing there were certain things that Philip wanted to get off of his chest when eventually he has the conversation with Lee.
Conversation, yeah, that's what it's going to be.
I was not expecting the delusions and paranoia and the mind shifts.
Right.
Some of it managed to come out anyway, but then he started getting even more defensive and things.
Mm-hmm.
Specifically, though, I enjoyed getting the chance to call him on the, you talk to Ma Carver and to correct everyone as your buddy. Whose side are you on? Because that was really, those were the things that have been going through his mind for a while, is that he didn't think Lee was taking any of this seriously. Everybody's his buddy. He doesn't realize what's going on. Whereas as a player, I know that that's not the case. But as a character, that's all he saw, is that he's not acting like we're in danger. He's acting like these are his best buddies. Whose side is he really on? He'll team up with anybody.
Yeah. Whereas Lee was trying to manipulate them into opening up a little bit so he could find openings to exploit. And that's what he was doing with Songbird too.
Right.
He's so, not in this game, but when she was an NPC.
I don't know if it came out, but he was basically Philip was trying to call Lee that he was manipulating all of us, just like every other NPC out there, and trying to tell him whose side are you really on. You're on Lee's side.
The only reason Lee did not vehemently come back with that and did not, you're wrong for these reasons, is that it had been revealed that the waters were driving you guys crazy. And he's like, let them be crazy. It will not, I cannot argue this.
I actually, believe it or not, worked out the microbiology of this whole thing.
Nice.
So, white nose is caused by, and I'm going to probably brutalize these pronunciations, but pseudo Gymnoachus destructans, which is a fungus, and they have found in the real world in their search for a cure for, because this is a real thing, by the way. White nose is a real thing. They're found that there is a controlling bacteria, similar to the way that penicillin controls bacteria. There is a bacteria that controls that fungus by the name of Rhodococcus rhodocrus. And
I hate
then
those rhodocrus.
I can't hear the word fungus and not think about war.
And then there's the lyssavirus. Of course, rabies is a real thing, and plasmid transfer, the lateral transfer of DNA by route of virus, which can both change the virus or change host A and host B that moves between, is absolutely a real thing. And so the idea that they would go out there and genetically engineer some trait that would beef up the rhodococcus to control the fungus without realizing that some plasmid would break off from that gene sequence and change the rabies virus. I mean, it is actually a theoretically plausible thing.
Right.
Yeah, I will say the one way that the argument would have been drastically different was before I had the card given to me that specifically said, flip only if someone blames you for Joe's death. The very first line on it says, it's not your fault that Joe died. That is the only way the argument would have initially been different, is before that moment, of course Philip blames himself.
Yeah.
He sees it as he made a mistake. He didn't expect Joe to do what he did, but he should have. And
that's the thing, is that he should have.
He should have, and he knows he should have. And so he very much blamed himself until the moment I flipped the card over. The first line says, it's not your fault.
That's right.
Well, that's because what I wanted to play up is what the mind would be suggestible to, either because of internal factors such as guilt and mechanisms such as avoidance or projection or displacement or whatever, or because of external suggestion. So in Motimar's case, because of the fact that he's being groomed to be the eventual Paul Carver, I wanted to write it in at a subconscious level that even though he does not per se, or I assume doesn't like her, he's the fear, because you didn't want to go back to that life. You didn't want them to go back to that life. So your worst fear is becoming exactly like Mal Carver, and as that subconscious fear begins to get grip on your mind and mix with the hallucinations that this virus is causing, you need your Koresh. And your brain is delusionally picking Casey as your Koresh.
Right.
Except Casey's not crazy. Well, I mean, maybe
not in that
way.
Yeah,
he doesn't think he's a prophet. He's not insane.
Yeah.
And so it's pure delusion on your part, but that's why I went with the route that Motimar is now propping Casey up to be his holy figure.
And Philip's supporting of him was strictly because Ma wasn't buying it.
Yeah.
And he's like, this is Motimar's play. We have to back his play. This is a horrible play. I don't know why he's doing this play, but at this point, she has to believe it or things are going to get bad. So he went full, I was baptized too, and
Lee did not engage in that situation because Lee's play is to let a situation happen and he observes it. And then he sees the opening and then he moves in to try to exploit the opening. And that could be an enemy, or he does that with his friends too. And which is why Lee has trouble with people sometimes.
Because he's evil.
He's not. He's a nice guy.
He's.
that's the sad thing.
I don't know. The longer we play this game, the less I'm convinced that's true. But
That's the interesting. I don't know if anything Philip said even remotely got to him, because at that point he knew Philip was losing his mind.
Yeah.
Because a lot of his arguments about you treat us like you treated everyone else, those are actually his arguments from
Yeah.
before he went crazy.
And it's Joe. Those were Joe arguments too.
Yeah.
And he's heard it before, but he didn't engage in that play that you guys were making because, like I said, he waits for the situation to happen, sees the opening, and then goes to exploit. And that was just a whole hell of a lot of crazy.
Yeah.
It's just like
Right.
he was on his footing. He's ready to do the mental fighting. He's ready to go, and it's just like suddenly it's a marshmallow pillowcase fight. It's like, what the fuck?
Right.
Yeah.
And he's like, okay, this is above me.
The funny thing was, that was the one moment, like once that ended, Lee suddenly was decisive.
Yes.
There was the one
And
time
there's a
where
reason why.
his life was in danger.
He was, bingo, he was really, really scared. Like, he has sort of a detachment because, like we said, he plays 5 moves ahead, and that causes lots of problems for him. He can't interact with people on a normal level, and he has problems with people because he's always thinking ahead. Like with Joe, he just can't tell it.
Yeah,
He's got to walk him down
let's
the
take
road.
it back to the untold story of what happened between the prologue and game 1 to Lee.
Yeah.
Lee cut a deal and played some legal stuff with Casey to get Casey into a pit fight that won both of them their freedom. If Casey had lost that pit fight, Casey would have been seriously injured or quite possibly killed.
right.
But with Lee, and I'm not saying Lee's a psychopath. It's not what I'm saying. But I'm saying the reality of it is you are too valuable to the house. They were not going to kill you.
No.
I mean, they may have made your life a little bit painful for a while just to spank you, but they were going to put you right back to work.
Right.
You know, and so it was still a situation that though you and Casey both went into it with eyes wide open about what was on the line,
Casey had more to risk.
Casey had a lot more to risk because
And the way I see it, again, the untold story, Lee did not manipulate Casey.
no, I don't think you could have because Casey understood. I mean,
Absolutely.
Casey, he grew up in that society.
Yeah.
He knows damn well if he loses this fight, the masked, once again, you're going to get less caviar for a while because you're a bad boy.
Right.
But you're going to go back to being a masked. He's going to be either seriously injured at best or dead in all probability.
Right.
And he knew that. But on the flip side, he also had more to gain because St. Louis was holding you in a gilded cage, but it was still gilded.
Yeah.
They weren't killing you. Casey
But
could have died anyway.
Right.
The only question was whose fight he died in. You gave him the first fight where he could have died for himself.
Lee treats Casey differently than any other person in the game. And he treats Casey as an equal. And he does not look for any hole to exploit, and he does not even try to exploit anything with Casey. Because he sees Casey as a complete equal.
Yeah.
I gotta go.
All right, yeah, let's wrap this up one here. Let's wrap this one up here. That's English. So that we're already going. Thank you guys for tuning in, and we will catch you, I think, in 2 weeks.